Tough life being a werewolf.
Jacob, please go have a wank. That's clearly what's going on.
Always getting in the way. It's so mean.
Oh. And she cuts her finger, right?
She cuts her finger. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sorry I Don't podcast. We are on series 2 now. Today we're going to be discussing Newman as a continuation of the first series, where the first film we did was Twilight. So we thought it'd be only natural to now do Newman today. So we watched it a few days ago, and now we're just going to talk about how we feel about it and how obscene it is. So yeah. Should
we reintroduce ourselves?
May as well.
Yeah, that would help.
I'm Abby.
I'm Claude.
And I'm Jake. No, I'm Swanny. Nice to meet you again. But yes, no, we're back again. High Energy, Season 2. Woo! Of Sorry I Don't. You know, the kind of podcast where we try and review ridiculous films that are maybe amazing, could be.
Sometimes not.
Sometimes not. Either way, you're going to find it together with your friends on the Sorry I Don't podcast.
I love that we've come in so high energy. We've been like, woo, Season 2 to talk about a film about a clinically depressed teenage girl.
That's what we need. We need a little bit of tonal dissonance. We'd be really happy. It's like when we were really buzzing talking about the Titanic. That wasn't great.
I was buzzing. Claude was on the brink of a breakdown.
And I was deep in awe of the rogues. So yes, format as always we're going to go through the plot, talk about a relationship to the film, talk about ridiculous things that happen in the plot, do a little bit of what the critics said at the time, what we think about that, give a rating, but most importantly, what I'm looking forward to is our Rogues Gallery. So Rogues Gallery is basically a character that is the most roguish and isn't necessarily a villain. Is more of has the most insane,
most out of place character,
most out of pocket character,
most out of pocket character,
or like the biggest implied narrative. Like I love implied narratives. You know, if you just see a character for like one scene and there's so much going on with them, like with Goldfinger, that woman with a fucking Tommy gun, that's the security guard apparently of this big evil empire. Ridiculous, love it. So I also can't really remember who we were saying for the Newman one. Do you guys remember?
I don't think we discussed it. I think this will be.
I was unconscious by that point.
We were very drunk. So good start. Shit.
So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So personally, I watched Newman for the first time in the cinema when it came out. As a young girl, yeah. Me and my mum used to go and see the Twilight films when they came out. She used to kind of pull me out of school during the day, and we'd go and see it when it was quiet.
That's a proper education.
Yes. And I love Newman just as I love all the other ones. It goes down slightly in my estimations just purely because Robert Pattinson isn't in it enough. But it is necessary for the plot. And
what
it's the same
plot?
as the books.
No, we'll get to that.
So what's your relationship with Newman?
Pretty similar. My main complaint is that there's just not enough Edward in it. And I feel like for that reason I always found this the kind of boring one. Like it was sort of like, I was kind of like, nah, filler. But it's got a great tie-in with Romeo and Juliet, which I was always obsessed with as a kind of like slightly morbid child. And the more I watch it now, the more I think of all the films, indulgently melodramatic it is.
Yeah.
And I have to have a special place in my heart for that. Yeah. That's pretty much my take.
Totally. So this was actually my favourite one when I was younger.
Of course it was.
That's so on brand.
So as I discussed in the first one, I was one of those people that didn't like Twilight when it first came out. Kind of got tied into that whole this is so shite. Oh, vampires glistening, boring. And now having matured, understood more things with heard opinion pieces about how toxic that was, etc., etc. And with you guys. And over the years, come to find a new appreciation for it. So I actually hadn't seen, even though I hated the other ones, I always disliked the first one. It was like, and then I fucking hated Eclipse. And then the Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 was... Breaking Tom. Breaking Swan. They were...
How have we not
double
made that joke before you?
Breaking Swan Part 1. But yes, no, I didn't like any of them. But I always had kind of weird soft spot for New Moon because I remember watching it before I went down on a school trip, and it was going down south to Stratford upon Avon, so I didn't sleep that night. I watched New Moon though, and yeah, I think what really drew me to it was one, just fucking Edward just disappearing. For some reason I was like, oh, main character's gone, what's happening? Why is he gone? Spoilies. And then I obviously loved the kind of opening up of the world building a little bit. You know, when we meet the Volturi at the end, I thought that was really cool and I wanted more of that. So it was quite interesting. I was coming back with a kind of hype to it. A hype that was very swiftly dampened by the film itself.
I also think it's important to point out here as well, because I feel like I'm going to have to give a disclaimer for some of my commentary on this film. I fell asleep halfway through this when we watched it the other night, and I've seen it 1,000 times before, so it's fine in terms of I know what happened, but my notes as time goes on just become more and more something that I actually have to decode, because I was pretty drunk and very fucking tired by the time I made some of these notes.
Bella go apples with dry grass.
No idea what
I'm
that
excited
means.
to learn about Bella Goat
For
Apples with dry grass.
who may have never seen that bears no relevance to anybody.
anything
in
that
this
happens
You
film.
can
this
work
film.
it out though.
Not even patter-wise. I don't know what the fuck you were talking about there.
Well, hopefully it will be discovered in the discovery of the plot.
Which brings us swiftly on to...
So, Newman.
Is it a laugh?
The
Is it
plot.
a gaff? That's what I wrote.
What has
You mean, is it a laugh? Is it a gaff?
just your
Has my
entire
pen run out of
commentary on
ink?
the film?
That's my pen.
Yeah, so a lot of my notes are the pen's run out of ink. So we'll work that one out too. We've all got.
Oh, you're
we've
in
all
for a treat today,
got-
guys.
Oh, we're
You've
in for a
got
good one.
a half unconscious rambling and Swanny's pen running out of ink. A real deep dive into the world of Newman.
And literally, Claude was sitting going to me, "Hey man, what happens at the end?" Like 2 minutes before we started recording. So we're fucking prepared.
Woo!
Woo!
So,
Let's do it.
Newman has a media res beginning.
Yes.
Which
In media res, yeah.
in media res is that how you say it?
I think so. I think
Hookers.
we clearly do.
So,
I'm already up to here.
what does a media res again? Because
It basically just means
can't-
you show the beginning, you show the end of the film or a scene near the end of the film at the beginning as a little, flash forward. Oh my
Yeah.
God, how do we get to this situation?
yeah, because they show Bella running through this crowd of people in red suits, and you're like, what's going on? What's
It's very
happening?
sunny. It's
right?
all archaic. It's like, where are we? What's going on?
So, and it begins with a dream. So Bella has a dream, and she is she's in a field, and she can see her gran across the field. And then Edward comes out, and it's like sunlight. She's like, "Oh, don't go into the sunlight. My gran's going to see your sparkly skin, and I don't know, die of a heart attack, I guess."
I again maintain that he should have turned into a gargoyle every time he walked into the
Yes,
light.
but nobody.
I get that's not
else agrees with
sexy.
that.
I get that's not sexy. I think it'd be hilarious though.
So she is like, right, don't go in the sunlight, but nothing happens when he does. And then she realizes it's not actually her gran, it's a reflection, right? And then she wakes up and she's fallen asleep reading Romeo and Juliet, and she's basically woke up on her what?
I just love that.
Yeah,
I just love the fact that this is just ripping from Romeo and Juliet left, right, and centre, and doesn't even have the courage to end it in a murder-suicide.
No.
right, totally. So when I was younger and watched that, Romeo and Juliet was always one of the Shakespeare plays that I love Shakespeare growing up. Around about that time really changed it when I first watched it, but I had never really read Romeo and Juliet, never studied it at school. It's only later on I came to like it. So whenever I ever thought about it, I never realised there was a Romeo and Juliet connection. So when that was coming up, I was like, oh,
Are you
I
saying
quite like
that you consumed the majority of Twilight before you consumed Romeo and Juliet?
Yes, I consumed all Twilight before. I've not even read Romeo and Juliet ever. I
That's
should. I'm gonna.
Amazing
I will.
revelation.
I know.
I did it at drama when I was like 8, and I
No,
think
you
that
did.
was like my first kiss. It's like doing a Romeo and Juliet scene, so I was like, I'm gonna make this my personality for the rest of my life.
Yeah, makes sense.
I used to like perform bits of it when I first started getting drunk at parties, because that's what everyone wants. I actually wrote that.
I bet you
Romeo
did.
and Juliet, I'm sold, I'm cooked. I used to perform Juliet's monologues at parties. I sucked.
Yeah. But no, and talking about that dream sequence, though, before we move on from it, I actually really like that as an opening. Because at first
It's
I
a
was
good
like,
opening.
I was like, what the fuck's her grand in here? I was like, what's this about? Who's she? Never met her before. What the fuck she did? Oh, it's Bella.
So she's terrified of aging. And and you know, it's her birthday, right? And she's now, like, she's not technically older than Edward, but she's aging humanly now more than Edward because he's been turned when he was 17 and she's just turned 18.
Can I just jump in again with that? Even in the first one, he looked about 27. Like, he did not look
He's
17.
only like in his early 20s in that. I'm sure he was only like 21 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
And she's like, I think 17.
he's awfully mature for his age. Was a weird thing, I might say. So
Didn't want a recording of that being said. Like,
fucking right. Swiftly moving on. So hanging there with Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, of course she fell asleep reading Romeo and Juliet.
so she's terrified of aging, and then our love, Charlie Swan, who is Bella's dad, comes in, gives her a birthday present, kind of like has a wee joke with her because he's like, oh, have you got a white hair in your head? And she's just freaking out. She is fucking freaking out because Edward's refusing to turn her. Because he's like, you don't want to be a monster, essentially. And she's like, no, I want to live the rest of my life with you. And he's like, well, I don't want to turn you because I'm happy with the way you are. And she's like, you're not going to want me when I'm an old grandma. And it's like, right, okay.
Right, okay, a wee bit ageism creeping in there. But, you know, fair. But also, talking about Charlie Swan's entrance, my man, bearing the family sigil name, he comes in and he always just totally misreads the room. Like, every time. It's like, oh, Bella's had a really horrific dream about being old and older than her boyfriend. Oh, it's birthday. Oh, Dad's here. Hey, Dad. And he's like, you've got grey hairs. Oh, the march of time. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And she's just, and he's just.
Let's not pretend like that's fucking fair enough because she's turning 18.
Well, that's why.
She's not turning fucking 80.
I just mean he's reading it. Oh, that's maybe not fair then.
She's just context.
Yeah, he's got no context. She's just a maniac.
She's just a maniac to him.
To him.
And yeah, so we kind of move on, and I'd just like to know if you watched the first season, especially the first episode of Sorry I Don't. We go into quite a bit of detail about our theory that Charlie Swan. Really, it's not even a theory. It's just fucking
really
proven
grew.
fact.
It's text.
I was literally about to say it grew arms and legs. We took it so far out of reality that it's not even a theory anymore.
No.
It's basically a spin-off.
But I can corroborate all of it with direct links to the text.
Just before we talk about it, I'll explain. Basically, we believe that Charlie, because obviously the vampires in the first film are killing civilians in forks, we believe that Charlie is just obsessed with the fact that it's this bear, and not just a random bear, but a bear that is set out to actually go and kill people. It's like a manic maniac.
Yeah, Jaws
bear.
the bear.
Jaws
basically.
the bear, right?
a
And
good name
he's
for it.
just obsessed with saving the town because he's the police chief, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed because this killer bear keeps going around killing
But it's
folk.
it's even worse than that though.
We imply that he becomes an alcoholic.
Yeah, well, that's not, again. You're saying we implied this. This is all in the text. Like, people, Carlisle, Edward's adopted dad, who's the town doctor. When they're looking at these bodies of these people that have been killed by vampires, he's like, I need to deflect this away from the vampires. The sheriff's here to ask. It's one of his pals that's been killed this time. Yeah, I think it's the same bear as last time. Like, I can imagine Carlisle's like in the hyperventilating in a fucking toilet after, like, why did I say that? Why did I say that? And then
Bears don't suck blood out of people.
yeah, and also, why would you
Bears
say it's the
don't drink
same
people.
bear? The same bear. And then you're saying we implied that Charlie becomes an alcoholic. He's literally cleaning his gun and drinking like beer after beer.
Bud Light.
It's not even Bud Light.
It's like 2:00 in the
So
afternoon.
turns out,
He's got a 6-pack in front of him.
it's ridiculous. And an empty one in the fucking in the fridge. No, so the thing I was going to say, when I was actually at my work, working in tourism, I met a couple folk that were from the Washington area, and we were talking about forks, and I was just talking, I want to go see Twilight, I want to see Twin Peaks area, and then they were saying, yeah, they really got that Charlie Swan character right, because you know that that beer that he's drinking, that's actually like the worst beer in that part of the country. If you want to get pissed and it's like really cheap and high percentage, that's the beer you drink. So
I love that.
that's what he drinks apparently.
Sorry,
Something R.
the moment's so past, but I didn't even mean that one. When you said about the bear and he said Jaws the bear, just because it began with B, I looked at Swanny and went, Boz.
Boz the bear.
Boz.
Aye, no. That's the level of maturity and critical insight you're going to get on this podcast.
Charlie
Boz the
Swan
bear.
after Boz the bear. So we'd essentially come up with this, what, like you say, what it's become essentially a spin-off to us.
Yeah.
Which we were going to call
The Bear is in Front of You.
The Great Outdoors.
Colon,
Yeah,
The Great
colon, The Great Outdoors.
Yeah.
Starring Charlie Swan.
And it just
So-
sorry.
Just to kind of move on from Twilight, 3 minutes and 55 seconds into New Moon is the first time that a killer bear is once again mentioned.
They established in the first film that it wasn't a bear. They reached the conclusion of going, I don't think this is a bear anymore. Haha. And then literally the first shot you get, establishing shot of Forks, they're like, that killer bear's still on the loose. And I'm like, have we just
Yeah, that's on the radio as well.
I know.
have we just
So-
walked back on that? Like,
No, I think basically what happened is Charlie realised it and they're like, yeah, maybe it's not. But then he passed out from all the alcohol or, screaming and fighting bears and spirit bears in the woods himself. Whatever he was doing at the end of the first one. So I think he forgets that. And then everyone's just, Carlisle was like, yeah, just fucking, yeah, it was bears. So then, I grabbed you when it happened. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Again.
This gets turned on its head a wee bit in this one because, spoiler alert, New Moon is very werewolf heavy, right? So,
Hence the
but
title.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So, very early on, I believe, Bella is reunited with Jacob. Am I right in saying that? And that's
Yeah.
when she says, anabolic steroids are really bad for you. And he just says, I'm just filling out for you.
honestly, as much as I don't like the fact that there's less Edward in this film, and I rolled my eyes when you said there was loads of werewolves in this film. It was actually a misrepresentation of how I feel about the werewolves. I love the werewolf pack. I love all the mythology behind
Yes,
it.
I agree.
But I
Jacob,
don't have
though.
any, not even that I dislike Jacob. I have no time for Jacob
He's
because
just so
he's just a
cringe.
milk toast person. Like he's
Yeah.
just so, not even like, oh, I hate Jacob because he's the love rival for Edward, Team Edward. I'm like, you're obviously never going to end up with Jacob. This is a waste of my time.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
And not even like a fun one. Not like
They
a
would
silly waste of time.
Stephanie Meyer would never do this to the audience, so why are we even wasting time
He
on
wasn't ever a convincing rival
No.
for Edward.
it? No.
So it just...
The existence of Jacob Black is just to basically be buoyed by Edward.
He's got
constantly.
nice guy vibes, and I just...
He totally does, and you notice it more and more as you get older. Like the more you watch it, you're like, he totally does have nice. He wants to be like rewarded for his like kind and
Chivalry.
friendly behavior towards his pal.
I'm a white knight.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But the thing is, at least in this film, to play slight defense for Jacob, he's not as bad as he is in the rest of the films. He's bad.
it gets worse.
Oh, he gets so bad. Like this one, at the end, halfway through this one, you could kind of be like, hey, forgive him for being like, hey, you know what? Jacob's here. He's a bit cringe, but hey, they get on. They've got a little bit of chemistry. Yeah, maybe Team Jacob, like a little tentative hand up for Team Jacob, but by the end of it, you're like, oh man, he's cringe. And then the next one just doubles down on that. And then the next one doubles down on that. And the last one actually makes him like a criminal. Basically, a criminal in waiting, in
Yep.
preparation. Anyway, we'll get to that
So
one day.
I'm gonna reiterate again. Basically, the whole of the start of the film is just Bella constantly being like, "Don't talk about my birthday. Don't talk about my age, and I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to celebrate it. Just nobody mention it." Basically, because
You're
she's
18.
she's freaking out. She's
Yeah.
absolutely freaking out. So turns out she's got a birthday party planned at the Cullens house.
Yeah, which was foisted on her by Alice. And
Yep.
Alice takes the place in Emmett of this film. In the first one, Emmett's like, "Arr," on the top of this truck, and you're like, man, I thought you were trying to be secretive about your identity.
And she's just doing like backflips
yeah,
up the
and this-
stairs in the school.
Alice does parkour over like a
Fucking
staircase, and you're like,
Manic
mate,
pixie dream cringe over here.
stop trying to draw attention to yourself. You're literally begging for people to be like, oh, she's different, she's quirky. It's
Yeah.
like giving the game away here, guys.
But I did really want not her haircut in the second one because I don't know what the fuck they were doing there. The first one though, wanted her haircut so bad. I wanted to be Alice. I wanted to be silly.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a relatable.
Well,
Maybe not. Hopefully
I
not.
wanted to shag her, so that's my only relation to that.
Charming.
So Bella's party happens that night at the Cullen residence. Everybody's there.
Everybody's there. No, they're not. There's fucking no one there. It's like the
All the
Cullen
Cullens
family.
are
It's
there.
all the Cullens are there, and Is there decorations? I can't remember any decorations.
No, they all just get dressed up.
Do they?
Yeah.
I thought they just kind of wear what they normally wear.
Yeah, well, they're vampires.
At this point, I also came up with
That's not an excuse. Sorry, Abby. That is not an excuse. Vampires in fiction are always immaculately dressed, and these folk are dressed like shit all the time.
Yeah, the costume and hair department generally in Twilight had a lot of big hits and big misses. But no, I also came up with a really, really troubling implied narrative here. And maybe this is actually canon because it wouldn't surprise me if it was. But it drops in here that Jasper has mood control powers. And then I put, when has he ever made anyone happy though? And then I went, wait. Is that why Alice is the way that Alice is? Is he just mind controlling her to be insanely chirpy and happy?
Oh my
all the time,
God.
but she's actually fucking miserable.
Oh my God, he's making her into the manic pixie dream cringe of his dreams. Oh my God,
Did
right
he
now.
not?
That
Did she
is
not?
insane.
Was she not like her backstory
yep.
is that she was in like some sort of psychiatric ward or something like that, and then she meets Jasper.
Oh my
Right,
God.
okay, he's at the top of my
Also-
rogues right now. That is
Also-
the most roguey thing I've ever
That's
heard.
probably the last coherent thought I had.
This doesn't get brought up in this film in particular, but we already know that Jasper isn't a good person because for some reason, no idea why, but Stephanie Meyer decides to include the fact that Jasper was originally in the Confederate Army.
Yeah. Now look,
And then he gets like, just, I know we're jumping forward again, but in the last film they just give him a southern accent just to like
Yeah,
reiterate
just to
the fact that he
reiterate
was
that.
in the Confederate
Now
Army
look,
at some point. So he's going around being like, back when I was in the Confederate Army. And
Yeah,
it's
it's a
where
strange
the
decision.
fuck did this come from?
it's a strange decision if you're not going to explore it. Because look, yeah, were there probably okay people who got conscripted into it because of where they lived and made to fight for the Confederates? Sure. But we don't explore that. If you do shorthand, which these films do and most films do, if you go shorthand Confederate soldier and then don't explain it, everyone's just going to go, well, he was an evil prick. Well, he was a racist prick. So I don't know why you would do that and then not explore it and just have him have a drawl throughout the rest of it.
For what? Like
For what?
For it's got literally zero
Because
relevance.
history.
They essentially just say like, because in the end there's like a big vampire war, again spoilers, sorry, and they only use it as him being like, yeah, the Confederate Army didn't prepare me for like killing 1 million vampires. It's like, well, it could have been any war. Why did it have to be the Confederate one?
Yeah, but do you know what they did? Do you know what they did train you for, which you're not going to talk about because it would be really shocking? What the Confederate Army did. So why have that?
I know.
Why have any of that? Why try and get sympathy? Oh, the Confederates didn't train me to fight vampires. Yeah, but what did they train you to do? Oh, you're not going to say that because it's not okay? Then why write it, Stephanie Meyer?
So,
Anyway, yes.
they have Bella's birthday. She's opening a present from everybody.
And she's so...
She is so mean.
Oh. And she cuts her finger, right?
She cuts her finger and blood comes out, right?
As it does when you cut your
And
finger.
this is a fucking huge plot hole, right? So you've got Bella's fingers bleeding, and then Jasper goes absolutely fucking feral and goes after her and tries to kill her. And Edward manages to protect her, and they bring Jasper away. And this is the kind of, what kickstarts the rest of the film. But we've had Jasper and Bella in the same room where she's been bleeding heavily, way more than a paper cut, literally at the end of the last fucking film. Yeah. And he managed to control himself absolutely fine. Probably more so than Edward or Alice did. So why the fuck is it that, because basically their justification for this is that he's the youngest vampire who was turned the most recently, so he's the least used to only living off of animal blood. It makes no fucking sense.
That doesn't make any sense either, though. But wait now, that makes no sense.
The implied narrative to me here is that he's just doesn't give a fuck. He's just got mental.
Yeah, no, look, but he's not the youngest. Edward's younger than them.
No.
When was Edward turned? Like the early,
Spanish influenza.
which is the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And when was the American Civil War?
Not
in
then.
like the 1870s, 60s. Aye, bullshit.
That's just
No,
Stephanie
he's the
Meyer, not-
youngest. He's the newest member of their group.
Oh, so he's been a fucking a mental Confederate vampire for like 100
Yep.
years.
Moving on. So-
Jasper goes mental. Okay, you're right. He just, I don't know. Like, you can maybe argue the last film he didn't go mental at the blood loss because they were adrenaline and they were fighting a vampire and all that blah blah blah. But no, like he just. I don't know what it's just to build conflict. And look, it is kind of an iconic scene, and it is very funny when instead of just holding Bella out the way, Edward just like fucking smacks her into a fucking bookcase or a
And then she starts
fireplace.
bleeding more, and it's so stupid.
There's also something else, like going back into the backstories of all the sort of vampire clan. Is I was like, when is Emmett from? Because at the start of this party, he's like dating an older woman, bro. That's cool. And I'm like, why is Emmett like a Chad kind of character? What point in history are you from? Like last week? What?
It's from fucking Saved by the Bell, 80s sort of.
Emmett's the only reason they keep going back to school, because he just fucking loves it.
Yeah, oh my
He
god.
loves being captain of the football team.
Yeah.
Moving on. So that all kind of transpires. She's bleeding. Carlisle takes her into another room. They have this weird scene, very short scene. There's a lot of fucking sexual tension in it, though. That's an implied narrative in its own. What the fuck is going on there?
Yeah, there's no need for her to be like holding him that way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Carlisle, the doctor, is treating her, and instead of just,
Edward's dad.
Edward's dad, quote unquote. And it's not like, hey, sit down. Oh, you've been hurt. Have a seat. I'll tend your wound in a professional way. Is she not like hanging off his arm or something like that?
She's like grabbing on
his waist.
They're like,
oh yeah.
they're like looking at each other and just like very kind of awkward pauses. Like it just feels like they're about to winch each other. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's
I'd have
really-
actually loved that as a plot point. Imagine that had happened.
So,
That'd
so
been
do a
much
lot of
better.
people. That's a popular.
Oh, fuck off.
I think this is
No, I
also
don't
why a
like
lot of
it.
people fancy Carlisle.
Yeah,
Like this
just for
particular
this
scene. Because I never saw it before now, but then they have this like a lot of chemistry. And like he's like tending to her and then he burns the sort of bloody cloth because obviously vampires and you want to get rid of it. But everything about it's so like,
Sensual.
yeah, it's like, what was this for?
So Edward takes Bella home. She's like, I want to be turned. I don't want to get old and all this kind of thing. And he's still just been like, nah.
But is Edward a religious nut? Because he just suddenly
Yes.
has a lot of concerns about like her soul and being forsaken and all this kind of thing. And she's like, don't worry about my soul, babe. Don't care.
See,
Wow.
I think
Like literally like eternally damned.
they just like lean a lot more into this kind of narrative in the second one, whereas in the first one they're just kind of like, I might hurt you. I'm really scared of you becoming a monster. And this one, it's a lot more profound, and like your soul's going to be damned, and like by the end they're like, I want to get married and all this kind of thing. Like, do it properly if we're going to do it at all. It's kind of, it's very odd. It's
He's very
strange.
conservative, very
Yes.
traditional, and just very like.
Very lame.
Yeah,
like
it's
I
just
love
very-
Edward, but that would put me off. I'd be like, oh, come on,
Yeah,
I'd
that's
go
the one thing about
fuck
him.
me.
Do you think he's just-
Christ?
You're right, just fuck me. But like, do you think he's. Part of me is like, is he just making up excuses not to be with Bella? He's like, yeah, oh yeah, man, I love you.
Oh no,
Not
that's
that much.
a horrible implication.
Not that much.
That he doesn't actually like love Bella and he's just doing this all the time.
Yeah. Oh,
Just like the power.
no,
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 no.
they're in love.
They are in
Stop.
love.
So,
Sure.
they've taken a photo together. Bella's looking at it, and she's pure like, "Oh, I'm so sad that I'm so old in this," and she folds away the like side that
Lame.
she's on and stuff like that.
Lame. She literally like sticks it in her book and she's like folds it over like, I don't want to look at myself. I only want to look at him. And I'm just like,
Oh, it's so
mate,
cringe.
Come on,
get a grip,
you're
please.
18, man. You're 18.
And also you're
Who
stunning.
the fuck would want to be 17 for the rest of their life? 18, I can understand. 17?
No.
Why?
No. Even Edward, like, he seems to be having a shite time. Looking at him being like, I want to be stuck at that age forever.
So, the next day, Edward's like, come on, we're going to go and take a walk. And the way that me and Happy acted in the next, like, 5 minutes was just absolutely fucking feral. Because I'll give Twilight its flowers, right? It's very melodramatic, it's very over the top, but the way that they portrayed a man instigating a breakup was so fucking on point.
I've quoted
that
what-
it was genuinely a wee bit triggering.
So this is what started the conversation. You went, this is so, and I went, sudden, and you went, how you get broken up with in real life, and yes, sudden. At which point we basically just start howling with laughter.
Cackling.
And then continue the entire way through the next scene, just drawing parallels
They
from our
were,
own experience.
from an outside perspective, they were just having a fucking full-on wee narcissistic meltdown. It was very charming, but it was also like, guys,
We've
Shut
all been
up.
through breakups. We've all been dumped.
Do you relate to a breakup scene? Oh, yes. Of course. We've all been broken up with. Get over yourselves.
Who he relates to in that scene.
Bella. Of course. But yeah.
So it was in particular just like the fact that it was the kind of like, I'm going away now, and she's like, yeah, let's go away. And he's like, yeah, no, with you though.
Aye.
You're not coming.
You're not coming.
And she's like, well, what? And then it's like, yeah, well, bye. I never really liked you.
Yeah.
We started ad-libbing in quotes from our own breakups over the top.
Oh, he starts giving out fucking like, I don't know how ready I am. Like, this is
Not
fun.
me.
It's not you. It's me.
I've
And
reached the end of this.
this is just, I think I've just come to the natural conclusion of this. I think I've ran its course. You can feel that. No, Edward, I can't feel that. I've not foreseen that. And he's like, yeah, I thought you loved me. Yeah, I do. It's not enough.
I do.
You're not good for me.
I will, honestly. I will always. And if you ever need me, like call me in the middle of the night, that's fine. But like, don't as well.
He's like, it'll be like I never existed.
Christ.
Ouch in my fucking heart, man.
And then at the end we had a reaction like this, and I went, aye, but he was doing it to be nice. He was making it up.
And then I can't remember I actually said this out loud or I just thought it, but I was like, maybe there was like some kind of like, maybe they were vampires or like, I don't know, secret agents or something like that, and they were just trying to save me from, a terrible life.
Definitely didn't say that out loud.
I thought it.
Anyway.
Because who would do that to me?
I mean, fair. That's a very fair point.
So then we go on to
I
this really iconic scene with Bella. So she's been dumped. And then she just fucking gives up. Like, she just lies down in the middle of a wet forest and it's just like, well, I'm not moving. Fuck this.
Yeah.
She actually tries to walk forward a bit and her legs
And
literally
she's
just
just
give
like,
way.
I can't. And just
The
lies
weight's too
there.
much.
Doesn't even try and get up until it gets to the point where Charlie... He's already got enough in his plate with the fucking bear, and now he's sending out search parties to look for his daughter. He must be thinking at this time,
What, the bear's got my daughter?
The bear stabbed her.
Oh my
and
God.
she's just like, I can't move because I'm so sad.
Oh my God, Charlie is
just
like...
sat on these leaves.
And Charlie's literally just like... I took my foot off the gas for too long, and that bear it regrouped and it came after my daughter, and he's has six beers, then drives out to go find her and fucking smash it. Who knows how many people he killed in his drunk drive rage there? But what are you intuiting, Abby? She's got her hand up right now, like fucking what's her name?
Who's dying?
Do you mean who's dying?
If the bear's on the loose again. Like, who's killing people?
Laurent.
I forgot about Laurent.
And Victoria.
I was like,
Victoria.
wait, is there an actual just serial killer now who capitalised on this bear nonsense?
So
Probably.
Basically, one of the werewolf tribe eventually finds Bella in the woods and brings her back because then we're kind of getting more of the implication that all of Charlie's pals are like part of this kind of tribe and stuff like that. So is it Sam who brings her out the woods? So Sam, turns out later, is actually the head of the werewolf tribe. So he brings her out the woods. And Bella then has this fucking amazing montage to this song. I think it's called Possibility.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like the camera's just swiveling around her and she's just sitting in amongst seasons and just looking out the window endlessly, thinking about Edward, having nightmares where she'd start screaming and waking up Charlie in the middle of the night because she's been dumped.
Is the implication that her night terrors are of him dumping her?
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
Come on.
probably not, but definitely in the context of the film, yeah.
Ugh.
I know, it's shocking. This is your role model, guys. I hope you's...
Honestly, it probably explains a lot.
Except you don't do your screaming in your beds when you're just sleeping. You just do it out and about. Or on the balcony.
Yeah, I have to admit, like, so when I was younger, I was like, Bella's so pathetic. Who would do this? This is so cringe. Oh my God. you may think that you are better than Bella Swan, but there will come a time in your life. None of us are above this.
Next thing you know, you'll be sitting by a fucking dirty body of water, running your hands through it, singing, "You got what I need," and being very, very drunk. Not that happened.
That was such a specific.
It was a little bit too specific, but it happened, didn't it? Dropped
Man,
my phone.
she would have had a lot funner time getting broken up with if she just got in the drink a wee bit, joined in with Charlie.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been a great little.
Wee alcoholic Bella, that would have been amazing.
Oh,
Would have
brilliant.
loved that.
Absolutely.
But then I think the worst part about all this is it's like the monologue that's going over the top of it is her like reading out loud her emails that she's sent to Alice.
Yes, of course.
As if she's like an imaginary friend / pen pal. Because
Yeah.
she's not receiving responses.
Yeah, so the entire Cullen family have just fucked off. It's not just Edward, everybody's left. And
So yeah, this is like, you just said that's the worst part of it. The worst part of it for me is this is kind of where the plot ends until we get to the last like act. So I remember being like, okay,
Cam said this. Cam was saying that he was like, it's just all filler. Like, why do we see Bella go to the cinema with her pals? And I'm like, well, you need to see the journey from Jacob being like her mate to her getting dumped, essentially, again, twice in a film. Again, so relatable.
I just feel it could be,
And so sudden.
as we've established.
Man, this is not our diary. Fucking wrap it up.
Fucking feels like it though. No. Yeah, look, I get that. Look, when a big plot thing happens, a big plot point, Edward, the love of her life, leaves. And now we're going to go and look at the character herself and how she responds to that. And we're going to look at her building herself up with a new relationship. It just needed another fucking rewrite, though. It was just boring scene after boring scene. And Jake,
Books like that.
Lame,
yeah, I know the book's like that.
Wrong. Incorrect.
It is a bit boring, though. And it just nothing really happens. You keep waiting for Jacob to
There's
really...
just less eye candy. That's all.
Not even less eye candy. Just the first one had a plot. The second one has a plot at the beginning, implies a bit of a plot, and then has a good ending.
She gets dumped twice. That's what the film's about. That's the plot.
That's
the
an
plot.
event.
That's an event.
I didn't say it wasn't an
That's
event.
notable.
I said it was a plot point.
Listen, I know you say this is not our diary, right? But as a young woman, which is what these films are for,
Yes.
but it's kind of, you're like, yeah, I want to relate to something. And that's what we were clearly relating to.
I did not relate to it. I just
There's a self-burn there.
I just thought it could have been, with a plot.
That was the
Speaking
plot.
of.
Anyway,
Continue with the plot, quote unquote.
Charlie intervenes. He's like, right, you need to get a grip. Basically, just fucking do anything except for whatever this is. And she's like, fine. And no, I've got plans. I'm going out with Jessica. And he's like, right, okay. And he's like, no, we're going to go out and like go shopping and have dinner and like have a girly night. And he's like, okay, enjoy that. So she does go out with Jessica. She goes out with Jessica and they're walking along the street. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time we see what I like to call Bella's wee stunties. So she essentially is out and about with Jessica, who is her pal from the first film, from school. And Jessica's just been like, where the fuck have you been, man? Like, I know you got dumped and that's a shame and everything, but you need to grow up.
It was
like,
3 months ago, man.
Giving her like the hard truths, what she needed. And then
Amazing that she,
and
sorry.
she's just patching her.
Yeah, to jump in, amazing that Bella even still has pals by this point.
I
The way
know.
she treated all of them in the first one.
And Anna
And
Kendrick
the
is just
second one.
more relatable.
It's Anna
the older
Kendrick,
you
right?
get.
Yeah.
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 Where she's just like, right, you're shite and like you need to stop doing that to your pals, and she's not even fucking listening, But Bella's an arsehole, really.
Oh, totally.
Because the thing is, well, the film makes it because she goes like, I've got problems too, and like the film makes it be like, oh, she's so unreasonable, by making it about herself in Bella's time of need. But realistically, Bella and her high school boyfriend broke up, and she's just been a horrible, terrible pal.
Yeah.
Anna Kendrick probably does have problems too.
Of course she does. She's a teenage girl. As we established, they have
And
problems.
Bella has never ever asked about them. 100%.
Never. Once.
Guaranteed.
Selfish, but.
You really wanted to say bitch there.
I
didn't
did,
you?
but having watched the first one back, I had a panic attack when I realised that, calling someone a bitch is not something I, as a
Doesn't look
man...
good on you.
It didn't look good on me. I was hanging out with you guys too much, and they were like, "Oh, Bella's a dumb bitch," and I was like, "Yeah."
we ever say
You
that?
definitely did. Not on the podcast.
Deny that. I deny that.
No, you're wrong to deny it.
So,
Mansplaining.
But when do we start seeing Edward again?
well, I'm going to explain.
Go for it.
So Bella's like, look, because she's looking at this motorbike. And there's a guy on the motorbike, and she's like, hold on a minute, Jessica. I'm just going to go and check this out. And Jessica's like, what are you doing? And she goes over to this random, like, middle-aged guy and is like, can you take me on a ride on your motorbike? And he's like, yeah. Okay, sure. And then he takes her on a ride on her motorbike, and then she starts hallucinating Edward. And this is when she realises something clicks to her, that if she does things that are risky, that Edward wouldn't approve of, she's going to start seeing him. And it's never really clarified whether this is an actual plot point, like he appears in an apparition, like genuinely, or if she is just hallucinating, like schizophrenic hallucinating.
Yeah, so I've written down for this point, Bella is either hallucinating or Edward is on the fucking wind-up with these astral projection warnings. Like, I need to go, babe, you're too much, this is too much for me, bye, don't think about me, you'll forget about me. And then just projecting his image of like, don't do that. Hey, I wouldn't like that. Hey, stop. No. And it's like, man, fucking daddy gaslight much.
Honestly,
what the fuck's this all about?
That's a scene from Eclipse that's missing from me. Because, like, I don't think this is a power that Edward has, because there's so many other times in this franchise where it would have been really useful for him to use this astral projection. I want that scene in Eclipse where she's like, it meant so much to me that you appeared to me in my time of need when I was like riding on the back of a dirty motorcycle with a fat old man. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Bro, that
you
was
were
me.
doing what? Excuse me?
That was Alice. Oh, no, that was Jasper. Oh, they were fucking with you. Oh, sorry. I should have thought. Oh, fucking told.
Like,
Pranks.
That's so nice. That, like, cheers, babe. That's really sweet that you thought of me then. But that, I'm sorry, it had nothing. That wasn't me at all.
Are you on your lithium? Because maybe lower the dosage. Oh, Christ.
So she gets off of this guy's motorbike because she gets a fright because she's doing something stupid.
Yeah, doesn't he start being really creepy?
Well, the guy's just got a creepy vibe about him. And then again, Jessica, who is an amazing pal, is like, going no do that, man. Going no jump on random old creepy men's motorbikes that you don't know, because that's really dangerous.
We're really overemphasising how old this guy is. I'm pretty sure he's like 40.
Yeah,
but she's...
okay, fair, compared to her,
like,
yes.
Like 18,
no, totally.
Like just turned 18. Like, it's weird.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
I get what you're saying. I think I wrote down here that this guy is definitely up there with my rogues as a rogue pick, because he's just so, I can't remember, I wish I quoted it, but he's just is weird. As soon as, like, I don't know, his energy is weird. He's just giving off weird vibes. And like, why are you on a motorbike, man? You don't look like you'd have a motorbike, and you don't act like you'd have a motorbike. He's trying to present almost like he's in a gang, but he's not. And I'm just like, what is going on? What are the rest of his pals thinking? Oh yeah, Dylan's fucking picking up teenagers again. Shit. Like, what the fuck, man? This guy.
Yeah, no, I think he is a contender, and probably not my pick.
Yeah, Jasper's right up there for me. Or Emmett, no, Jasper. Jasper, creepy Jasper.
So, she has now realised this is a kind of ongoing theme. She'll do this again. We'll see later. Before that, though, she's decided to go and see Jacob, because now she's into motorbikes, apparently. And
she's like, I got this in a junkyard. Bella has never set foot in a junkyard in her life.
She wouldn't know what to fucking ask for.
Yeah.
It's full of rusty metal and dog shit. Bella has never been to a junkyard in her life.
She saw a junkyard once, wrote a poem about it, and then cried about it. That is Bella. She went, the smell hit my nostrils like a truck.
That's what our night terrors are about.
Oh my god, yes, she's screaming about these fucking junkyards that Edward used to take her to. Oh, I loved it when he took me places.
Junkyard Jake.
Junkyard Jake. So yeah, I wrote here, because this sequence are just kind of, they're essentially both just grooming each other. That's the thing. They're both kind of just leading each other on and like, oh, hey, I'll help. Oh no, I'll help. And it's like, I'll be your friend. Oh, I need help. She's like trying to get him to get closer to her because she wants to get over Edward, and he's trying to help her get over Edward, but it's actually trying to make her want to fuck him. And it's just like, why are you both grooming each other? Have a shag.
That's just teenagers, man. That's flirting.
That's flirting. I don't know. With them? With them? With the problematic people we know they are?
Kind of implying that they might fancy each other, but like doing a wee bit of flirting and then, coming back a wee bit and then trying it again and then coming back and then, I like you, I don't like you just now, I don't like you just now, but I like you now.
Jealous.
Like trying to make you jealous. That is just the process of getting into a relationship, man.
It's the most human thing about these films.
Aye, but it's
Teenagers.
cringe, is what I'm saying.
Aye, so are teenagers.
Yeah, no, I know they
When
are.
have you ever been on the anti-position to cringe? You're always the one defending cringe.
Wait now, hold on. I said that. I literally said this when we were watching it, and you were like, ha ha ha. Oh yeah, so funny. And now I'm saying it, and you're like, wrong. Teenagers do that all the time. I don't care if they do it all the time. It sucks. This sucks. Jacob and Bella are just being shite to each other and not being real. And look, I get it. The more I say it, the more I'm actually even agreeing with you, and I hate myself for that. But it's just fucking shag or don't shag. Get over yourselves.
What do you mean grooming?
They're
There's
just-
no power positions here. There's no manipulation going on. They're just kind of like using each other.
There you go. You said it.
That's not grooming. Though.
Okay, fine. They're using each other. Sorry, synonym of grooming.
Accusing someone of being a groomer and being someone who like uses someone is two
Very
really different.
Okay,
topical this
okay,
week.
okay,
One of them's
okay.
a- one
Grooming in the sense of literally just orchestrating the person to fancy you. That's what I mean. Because that is a form of that is another synonym of. Oh, we're just getting into the weeds of semantics now. But yes, that's all I meant. They're just
Can
being
I say
shocking.
that if you start flirting with me right now, you're grooming me? And then I start flirting with you back, but I'm just like, nah, I'm all right. That's grooming.
In our yeah,
That's an
yeah.
accusation of a crime. Sorry.
Yeah, I get you.
So anyway, this is where the iconic line comes up that has been trending recently for some reason, where she comes onto the scene and he jumps over and he's like, "Bella, where the hell have you been, loca?"
Who says that?
Jacob does, and hugs her.
To the point where when this started becoming a meme, I thought it was a joke that someone had put it over it because I have blocked this from my memory in all of my original viewings of this film.
Where the hell have
Like,
you
it's
been,
almost
loca?
been Mandela affected back into the film for me because I do not remember this happening when I was
No,
younger.
I remember it.
You know, it kind of, again, sits sort of true with me because did you ever hear a word and think, that's cool, I'm going to incorporate that into my vocabulary?
Yeah, I had the word grooming the other day, and apparently I started doing that. So,
It's like I learned that Spanish for cheer up when I was like in that 5 Spanish was animate, and I thought that was cute.
that is quite
And I was
cute.
like saying that to my pal, I was like, oh, animate.
It's like when I learned the word affable.
Cringe, horrible.
Affable.
Oh, don't bring that back. That was
Yeah.
a very dark period of time in my life. Where Swanny would do something hideously obscene or embarrassing in public and then go, it's fine, I'm affable. I get away with it because I'm affable. Meanwhile, we're getting thrown out of a club.
Yeah, those weren't affable moments when I was screaming at bouncers, telling them, "I go hit me, fucking go for it." No. So, at this point, can I now talk about 2 wee boys appear? Jacob, fuck off.
Spat everywhere.
I just read my notes.
Season 2 will be Claude's spitting season.
Right. So,
All go on me.
so they meet. They have a wee not grooming manipulation
Right,
chat.
can I just clarify before we go on with this? That what has happened is that because I don't think I explained
I was
it very,
about to do it.
No, I don't think I explained it very well. Bella is essentially like, Charlie's been like, you should hang out with Jacob more. And
Yeah.
she's like, cool. How do I get him a Jacob? He likes making bikes. I'll buy a bike from a junkyard or not, or I don't know where she's got this, and then ask him to go and
She
fix
stole
it
it.
up so that they have time to hang out together, which is where you come in.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, right. They're hanging out about this motorbike, and then that's when 2 wee boys of Jacob's clan appear, and then he's like, "Oh, it's just my boys," and then he's a fanny. I've written that down. It's just my boys, says Jacob the fanny, and then 2 wee boys appear, and then they actually just start ripping the piss out of Jacob, and. They're like, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" Oh, and he was like, "Actually, remember, she's a girl and a friend." So, that is how he responds to this quote-unquote brutal teasing that he gets given. And I'm pretty sure these boys are they older, the younger? Either way, they just completely buoy Jacob just gets buoyed throughout this entire thing. He gets made into a wee tiny little boy that's getting made fun of constantly by his pack. Because as you revealed to me, he doesn't know the secret yet that they're
he
all
doesn't.
werewolves.
No.
So what the fuck does Jacob think's going on?
Oh, I forgot I made this point. Man, I was quite drunk when we watched
Yeah,
this.
you were steaming.
No, yeah. What is Jacob's narrative that's going on? We'll get to the point where he sees them cliff jumping, and I'll dive into that a bit more.
Yeah,
Pun
literally.
intended. But Yeah, like, and at this point as well, we get another kind of voiceover from Bella of her reading out one of her many emails to Alice, where she's like, "Hi, Alice. I'm still so sad that you left me and abandoned me, and I miss Edward so much, but when I'm with Jacob, I feel less empty inside." And I'm like, you are at the point of, like, this is stalking and harassment, Bella. Like, why are you emailing your ex's sister to be like, in case Edward's interested, I have a new friend now. Do you remember that boy he was always jealous of? Well, he makes me feel less empty. So please don't tell Edward. Like,
There was never any
Low-key tell
implication
him.
either that Alice and Bella are particularly good friends.
Nah.
Like, Alice would have loved for them to have been friends, but she always seems to kind of be like,
Yeah, Bella gave her
I
fuck
don't
all.
Like, I don't like dresses or fun or smiling or like pals or speaking or doing anything that doesn't involve doing this with my voice. Like,
Yeah,
so they were
the
never
whole
pals.
time.
So her emails between her and Alice are probably the most like communication that
That they've
Bella
ever
has
had.
ever offered
To
Alice in
anyone,
her entire life.
to anyone, even Edward, because they doesn't really speak to him about how she feels. She just goes, "I love you."
Do you think that Bella and Edward, pre-breakup, ever just had moments where they were just lying in bed and one of them farted and they were like, that was funny? Or do you think they were just always like,
I think they were always like,
I think they were like watching shows, like watching a TV show.
Yeah.
Like,
if it was pre-Netflix,
Getting through- yeah,
so it'd
but
be
they had
Edward's
box sets.
VHS collection,
It'd be like you cracking out the DVDs.
cracking at the DVDs.
Do you want to watch The Wire with me? Do you want to watch The Sopranos?
Was the wires out? The wires
Would have been.
was the wires out. The wire was out. No, I also like you're totally right about Bella just emailing Alice more than ever been given. It's like, oh, Alice, really, you're right. Alice didn't want to be her pal. Hey, Bella, here's a lovely party for your 18th. And she's like, no, I don't know. She sucks,
The first time
man.
I saw this, right, like genuinely, I actually did, like, I forgot, because of how there was no pre-established relationship between them, I forgot that Alice was called Alice, and I actually thought that this was a made-up friend, like, Dear Diary kind of thing. I didn't think that, like, I didn't realise that she was emailing an actual person. I just love to think that, like, when they're in Italy or wherever it is, travelling the world, Rio, that they're going, like, they're just constantly like, Alice, is that your phone pinging again?
she's like, "Aye."
Constantly buzzing, getting notifications. She's like, aye, man. And the best part is as well, because you see, like, in the future where there are films where they're like getting married and stuff, and Alice is again being a great friend to Bella, and Bella's like, you forced me to be girly and I don't want to be like that. Alice must have been like, are you for real?
Do you think
You have waxed lyrical to me every single 2-3 times a
do you
day.
think Jasper's got to really fucking up the ante whenever Bella's around because like Alice is just like, I'm fucking sick of this
Yeah.
fucking bitch,
He's
man.
like, be
And he's
happy, be happy. Happy.
That's why. It's
That's
not
why
because-
she's like, woo, I'm manically
It's so true.
It's not
backflips, spews, shit self.
A bit shit fit.
It's not his uncontrollable bloodlust for Bella. That's why he's like this every time Bella's around, because he's like
He's
concentrating
controlling
so
Alice.
hard on controlling
Because
Alice.
Alice is so close to having an emotional breakdown that the fact that she's getting patched constantly with these little microaggressions
She's
from
about to
Bella.
fucking
She's about to
rinse Bella.
lose her mind.
24/7.
That's what's happening. That's why no one gets in contact with Bella from the Cullens, because they're all too busy sitting with Alice, reading their emails, going, "That's shocking of her. That's so bad. Hey, babe, we've got you." Like Midsommar, holding her hands and be like, "We'll all cry together, Alice. We love you. Bella doesn't, and it's fine." And Jasper's just like, "Man, you should just let me fucking kill her.
Alice
She just let me kill her."
Alice and Jasper get separated, and Alice just turns into Claude.
Aye. Fucking hell. I hate Bella. But yeah, so
What an implied narrative, man. What an implied narrative. That is so funny.
they're just looking after Alice.
And then later on in the film.
That's why they left. Sorry, that's why Edward left, because he goes, "I saw the way you were treating Alice, by the way. Not on. She's my sister, man. Can't work this out. So it's not working out." And they leave. And then she just fucking keeps messaging Alice. Yeah, sorry, I jumped in.
We're jumping forward a wee bit. I love the idea as well, because obviously Jasper doesn't come with Alice later on when Alice comes to check on Bella, which is near the end of the film. But I love the idea that she's just up this point just like completely convinced that she's responsible for Bella's suicide, and she's just kind of like, "Hey babe, everything okay?" She doesn't like need the influence of Jasper anymore, because she was like, "Let's not do that again."
See, when you first said that, when you said Jasper doesn't come with, I thought you meant Jasper didn't leave with them. And I was like, well, now we know who's fucking killing everyone about town. It's fucking Jasper.
Mr. Confederate.
It's Mr. Confederate, the Confederate Confederate killer. No, that implies that he was doing the right thing. He wasn't.
God.
Anyway, we have...
I've got a good quote here, out of context, maybe. Famous ladies man, Charlie Swan. Enjoyed that. Are we near to that scene?
Oh, yes.
Is that the scene we're in?
Literally, right there. According to my notes, which can't be trusted.
What was the context?
She's having another screaming nightmare, and Charlie comes up and he's like, what is it he offers her? Advice? He gives he gives her something. It might just be words of
I
encouragement.
think he's just like, go and hang out with Jacob. He's good for you. And then he's like, he's a good boy.
Why would you listen to my advice though? I've been single since like the dawn of time, and I'm like, wait to make it about yourself, Charlie.
Famous ladies man, Charlie Swan.
I've actually put, this is Swanny coming to comfort me and reflecting on his own romantic situation.
Yeah, that's also text. That happened.
So there's a little kind of montage. She's hanging out with Jacob. They fix the bike up. And then Bella's like, I'm going to go on the bike, obviously. Oh, before that, we've got the kind of, we see the boys cliff diving, right?
That's true.
Basically, they're hanging out, Bella and Jacob. They see these boys, and Bella's like, what the fuck are they doing? Because they're just jumping off cliffs. And then he's like, yeah, they're cliff diving. But he seems quite sour towards them. And she's like, why are you sour towards him? And he's like, well, I used to be friends with this guy. We both kind of thought that they were weird. And then all of a sudden he stopped going to school, stopped hanging out with me. And then next thing you know, he's hanging about with Sam and his wee posse.
With his shirt off.
Aye. So like, what's that about? And he's like, I don't know what Sam does, but he basically changes them. And I don't like it. And I think he's an arsehole, basically, right? So we know how he feels about the clan of werewolves, which he doesn't know about.
Yeah, which she doesn't know about and he doesn't know about. So again, does he think Sam's like just grooming them to all hate Jacob?
From his perspective,
That's a good word. That's a good use of grooming, right?
Adult man has been isolating these young teenage boys from their social groups and friends, creating this kind of cult-like intensity with them, and they suddenly start getting really ripped and cutting about shirtless all the time and having this weird, like, isolated allegiance to this adult man. Like, and Jacob's like, oh, he keeps giving me funny looks and being like, you're next. Yes. He literally says that. He actually says that. And Bella's like, that's weird. Like,
yeah, what an implied that is the
mythical
worst.
creatures in this fucking series and just having absolutely no fucking chill whatsoever.
and also implicating themselves as child predators.
Aye.
And then Jacob actually kind of becoming one, which is, it's too much.
Literally,
Too much.
later on. No, that's the thing. See, if you take all the kind of supernatural elements out of this Twilight series, it's quite harrowing.
The bear is right in front of you.
The bear is right in front of you. They're all beasts, literally.
So Bella tries out the bike. She is shite at it. She goes right into a rock and hurts herself. And then Jacob comes and comforts her. They have a bit of a kind of tender moment, and then they look like they're about to kiss, and then they pull away, and then he's like, right, no more bike for you, because she's hurt her head and she's bleeding and stuff like that. And then he says, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, and he's like, are you apologising for bleeding? Which felt like a kind of metaphor for something.
It's too heavy-handed for me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, I would never. Hey, he got upset when you were bleeding because he's a vampire. I would never.
Yeah.
Ever.
The only thing is, makes
Shut
me
up.
really laugh about this is like, there's a moment where they're doing the bikes and they do a sort of check-in. He's like testing the waters romantically, and he's like, would you hang out with me all the time if I couldn't fix these bikes? He's always trying to find out how she feels about him.
Oh, yeah.
But I just like the idea that like, he actually has no idea what she's doing. She showed up on a motorbike one day and was like, help me fix this. And he was like, sure. And I've written, Jacob has been playing with Roblox and Kinects and talking a big game. He absolutely cannot do mechanics, which is why the bike fails, which is why he's like, okay, enough bikes. Enough bikes for you.
Going, oh yeah, I need to go get these parts. And he's like fucking rapidly Googling with his fucking
Literally
2009 internet.
Duct taping bits together, like,
Just making
vroom,
up.
vroom.
Just phoning his dad. Dad, does the catalytic converter go next to the engine? No, son. No, it doesn't. And then whatever. But yeah, as Kristen Stewart and Bella say, are you doubting your mad skills? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So another 45 minutes in,
I've written that as well.
the bear is mentioned again. 45 minutes in.
5 hikers have been killed by a bear. They can't find the bear. What? What ability?
By some bear. So maybe not the original bear. Maybe there's a second rabid bear on the loose.
People don't understand how animals function in this world because the Cullens have been fucking gaslighting the community. Shocking.
Now we're back at school, I believe. And Bella's back to talking to her pals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Mike, who's acting like a fucking arsehole.
He's always acting like an arsehole.
And he's like, last we left, he was with Jessica. So I don't know why he's now like coming on to Bella again. I guess she must have, like got to her senses and fucking dumped him because he's a wank.
Well, that's probably her, she mentioned earlier, I've got issues.
I've got issues too. Mike broke up because he's cringe McGee. And
then Bella goes on a date with him.
And Bella goes, well...
Bella is a terrible friend!
So, no, that's not true. That's not true. You're jumping the gun. Okay. So, then Mike says, like, oh, now that you're talking and, like, eating again, implying that she had an eating disorder as well, which is a bit obscene, Mike. She invites everyone, including Jessica, to face punch. So it wasn't a date. She has invited everyone, and then Jessica and Angela drop out at the last second because they're like, do I want to spend an evening hanging out with Bella, Bella's pal, and Mike? No.
I think they're all like, what's Bella doing, man? Like, she's really trying and it sucks.
Don't you think that Jessica and Angela are definitely like having a sleepover and
yes, and talking? I just think that's what I would be like, by the way, the last time I went to the cinema with Bella, she did this really weird thing. Like, she got on a motorbike, and honestly, like, I just think that put me at risk. And like, what? And then I would message you about it, and you'd be like, let's not go to this.
Yeah.
Let's definitely, like, they're definitely like
come
on
to
the phone. Yeah.
Let's go and hang out.
Let's go to yours.
Talk about how much of a fucking freak.
Yeah, they're absolutely like, oh my god, so wait a minute, he didn't go either. Wait a minute, we're not there. Oh my god, it's just Bella with two of those guys.
And then we would definitely be like, I cannot believe that she went with Mike.
Even
though we
That's
were invited.
fucking believable. Is she going to mention that? No.
Is she going to say?
Maybe Jake's
She's probably cracking on with Mike right now.
Is she going to say sorry? No, I would have left. Well, we did leave. Yeah, no, I can see you guys doing that. Yeah, I can see you guys being monsters like that, but also true.
So, Mike suggests a romantic film. She's like, no, I want to go and see Face Punch because she's
The most
decided that she's
believable.
going to rebrand as like a cool action girl.
Oh, I'm not like other girls.
Does she think that Edward's going to appear because she's watching a scary film?
Legit. I think they missed a trick. They should have had Edward. They should have had Robert Pattinson starring in Face Punch.
Oh my god,
That would have been fucking
It's
hilarious.
so funny.
Don't do this, Bella. Bella, this isn't okay.
'Cause she's
It's
gonna hold
rated
their
R. You've just turned 18. You can't go see an NC-17. You're too scared for it. Boo, boo, boo. You can't handle this.
You're going to have nightmares, Bella.
And then Mike's just like, hey, is that your fucking ex in this?
See the way that she brings it up at the table as well. So funny because he's like, yeah, let's go and see. It's something that sounds like Eat, Pray, Love or something like that. And then she's like, nah, do you guys want to go and see him? Face Punch? And he's like, oh, that film. And it's like, punching, faces, pow, pow. Like,
Who says that?
Mike.
That's gippable.
So they go and see Face Punch. Her, Jacob, and Mike go and see Face Punch together. Mike is a wee pussy. He ends up having a bulk in the middle of it because it's so gory, I guess.
Also, the name of that film, Face Punch, it's the most fucking...
Face Punch?
It's the most fake
And then
sounding
he's
name
like,
for
"Oh,
a film I've ever heard in my
Also,
life.
it would be a buddy comedy. It would not be a
Right.
scary, like,
Yeah.
R-rated film.
Again, Mike obviously clearly has actual trauma that he's trying to unpack, and because of this vampire narrative, we can't unpack it, so he just comes across as
I
a total
did
guilt.
put, though, there is a really weird portion of this film where they have nothing supernatural happening.
That's what I mean. There's a long portion of this film where nothing's really happening, and it's just, here's a date, here's a hang, here's another date, here's a little bit of a hang, here's a hang date. Shut up. Give me plot. Mere plot, wee boy.
So when they come out, he's Mike's feeling sick, and then Jacob just starts like totally railing on him for absolutely no reason, and he goes like, "What's up with you, buddy? Feeling sick? Maybe you need to go to a hospital. Maybe I should put you in a hospital." And you're like, Jacob, what the fuck? Like, same, but what are you talking
Jacob,
about?
please go have a wank. That's clearly what's going on. You've clearly never had a wank, and it's now you're at that stage of puberty, and male, he's acting like a fucking dog.
Oh.
What do you guess is the point? He's meant to be like a fucking werewolf. Well, he is a werewolf eventually. Spoilies.
So
So yeah, no, they both. Mike needs to go spew in the bathroom. Jacob needs to go and have a wank, and then they have to come out and go home.
The ultimate twin-spasmic shite time, the both of them put together.
Like in cubicles, knocking the cubicles,
Punching walls and spewing.
and having a wank. It's horrible.
She's so toxic because this is literally off the back of him almost confessing his feelings for her and being like, don't do it, you'll ruin our friendship, don't do it, I need you but not like that, I need you but not like that.
That's what I meant by grooming each other.
And then can we please move on because we're not going to agree.
Obviously has a slightly different colloquial term nowadays.
Then
Sorry.
he flips off the handle. That's not a phrase, but you know, I'm
Flies off the handle, yeah.
And
He flips off the handle indeed.
and then Bella's suddenly like, oh
yeah.
which is what led
She's
to my
a wee-
comment. Bella is literally a freak who is only into freaks.
She's a wee toxic. She's a bit us.
Should we talk so?
know.
Like,
She's
is he
like,
about, is he about to punch a wall?
This reminds me of my time with the scary vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
So, she's like, you're acting really weird. He's like, I'm just gonna go. And then
Mike says he's going to go.
no, Jacob's gonna go.
Right, okay.
And then we go back to the emails that she's having with Alice. She goes back to screaming in the middle of the night. She's emailing Alice saying, like, I've not even seen Jacob. Everything fucking sucks again. Like, everything was great for a while, but I've not seen him in ages. And, like, whenever I call, he doesn't pick up the phone. What's going on? I wonder.
Do you know what? This is the thing. I like the idea that this movie is more like a mood piece than it is, like, fully plotted. I just feel they keep missing the ball with it. I feel like there could have been some really... And I think the book's done it better, because I remember reading part of Breaking Dawn and went, oh, that's actually all right. And it was... Newman, sorry, Breaking Dawn. No, not Breaking Dawn. Newman. But, like, I feel like they could have brought a bit more of that angst out to the front, a little bit more existential philosophy with her and her emails to her, instead of just going, how's Edward?
But also,
I'm sad.
basically, if Jacob was a compelling person,
Yeah, man, imagine
like,
he would...
if there was something there, if there was some substance to that relationship.
Yeah, imagine he was given more of like a, hey, man, this is the only life we've got, and it's weird and it's wild, but you know what, man? I'm glad to be here next to you. I'd be like...
That is what he was given.
But he doesn't say that.
I know. He fumbles the bag, man.
It's all there. There's an actual good plot or a good mood piece there, and they just kind of go... and kind of like do a little tiny spunk instead of a big blast of emotion.
This also
Jesus.
is where I've written.
Didn't like that one.
It's at this point in the film where I've astutely commented, Bella go apples with dry grass. So that's where this comes in. If anyone is listening and knows what I meant by that, I would love to know.
I'm going to get that tattooed because that sums up the film. Bella go grass with dry... What was it?
Bella go apples and...
With dry
Bella
grass.
go
Dry
apples
grass.
with dry grass.
That's this film. Bella goes apples with dry grass. that somehow that sums up the middle part of this film for me. Dry grass and Bella looking for an apple in my eye. Oh, I could dissect that. That's poetry, Abigail.
So, now we have... I can't remember how she ends up in a field. Maybe
Because she's
maybe
just
she's having another
disassociating.
breakdown.
Yeah.
And then here appears Laurent. Laurent was in the first film. He was a part of the little kind of vampire posse that...
Yeah, the villains.
Yeah,
more so.
that had like Victoria and James in it.
Laurent is the most interesting of those three,
Yeah,
in my
100%.
opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Victoria's good too, but
Nah.
Well, which is not going to be any use to you very soon because he dies in the next minute or so.
But it's interesting.
It's weird because he's on their side and then he's like, oh, you're not under the protection of the Cullens anymore. So I'm just going to do you a favour and kill you quickly because you're so delicious.
Yeah, and specifically because Victoria won't. Victoria wants to torture you because you killed James, her mate. And I'm a good guy. I'm a good bad vampire. I'm going to kill you quickly.
Yeah.
And I like that. Again, we're getting actual depth to characters. And then he's ripped apart by werewolves.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, great, there goes my favourite character. Class.
They have a wee look to each other, like Jacob and Bella, but she obviously doesn't realise that that's him.
Because she
he's
sees the
alive.
werewolf, yeah.
the thing is as well, I'm just like, can you run fast at like the speed of light or can you not? Because I get that maybe a massive tribe of werewolves could overpower one singular vampire, but they can run faster than the werewolves can.
Mm-hmm.
Like the vampires run at
established.
the speed of light and the werewolves are fast.
I don't think, is it the speed of light?
Well, you know what I mean? Like, he's like,
Right. Yeah, okay.
like
it's not
they,
speed
they,
of light,
they
but yeah.
appear places basically,
Yeah.
almost without seeming to have moved.
Right.
And the werewolves are not that fast. So like surely he could just outrun them.
There's definitely inconsistency when it
Yeah.
comes to how fast they can run, or flitting, as it's called in some vampire circles. Flitting.
So, at this point, Bella hilariously runs back to her house and is like, Dad, it's not bears, it's fucking wolves.
Oh my god, I
And
forgot.
then-
I've just read myself writing that down as well. Yeah.
So, the gig's up, no bears. But I'm sure we'll go back on that in Eclipse. I'm sure everyone will forget about wolves. I'm sure like somebody now, like in Jacob's, circle is going to be like, yeah, do you know, I think it wasn't wolves. I think it probably was bears.
Yeah, what's Jacob's dad's name again?
No, it's not Harry. It's
Billy Black.
Billy.
Billy. Yeah, he'll just be like, don't worry, guys. I'll just get him pissed and just tell him it's definitely a bear.
Aye, they're sitting at like a kind of meeting of all the sort of respectable men in town, and they're like, oh, what's this new thing about wolves? Oh, that's really troubling. We thought it was bears. Oh, who said it was wolves? Bella. Oh, no offense, Charlie, but I think we can all agree. Bella. She talks a lot of pish.
Or even worse, what it'll be is they'll be at the meeting and Charlie be like, all there ready. He's coming like fucking Rambo. All the equipment there, all the new gear. He's chucked out all his bear hunting equipment for wolf trapping gear and he's here with it. And he's like, right, we got to talk about this new threat. And they're like, oh, we'll get to it. And they keep going, here, have another beer, we'll get to it. And they just keep supplying them with beers till by the time it gets, right, Charlie, what were you saying? Aye, so fucking wolves. I'm like, no, it was bears, Charlie. He goes, oh, aye. Bears. And they just, again, get them drunk, gaslight them. There's a lot of weird manipulation in these films.
Right.
So, now we have the Charlie and Harry Clearwater, who is part of the kind of werewolf circle as well, and a couple other folk go out on a search hunt for these killer wolves. Harry Clearwater sees like a wolf print in the dirt and he's like, better cover that.
Yeah, because he's like, Harry, because he's the lead werewolf, he's there and he's like, Bella's like, yeah, it's wolves. And he's like, I think he's actually there when she first says it. And he's like, Bella, are you sure? And he's like, and Charlie's like, let's go get him. And then Harry's like, sure. Fuck.
So at this point, Victoria's cutting about and she ends up killing Harry. I don't know how the fuck she gets away with that, given the kind of close proximity they all are to each other, but whatever.
Yeah, also, I don't get how that doesn't come back in the Cullens. Like, hey, one of the vampires killed, do you know what I mean? Like, a vampire that's related to you guys in some way has killed one of ours. We're going to kill you. Why has that not happened?
No, because it's specifically between the Cullens and
I
the
know
wolves.
that, but what I mean is,
and Victoria's
it's the
not a
Cullens'
Cullen.
fault that vampire's there, and it's also their fault that
But
they're
she's
not there to stop it.
She's not part of the.
No, but it's their. I would say there's an argument. There's at least an argument for a fucking tribunal about it.
It
That's
won't
all
be
I'd
in the
say.
treaty, man.
Oh, that's what was really missing from the 2-part last installment, the tribunal.
I think it would have. Have you seen Breaking Dawn Part 1? It's like this film's middle point stretched out for 2 hours.
So, basically, now poor Harry's dead. Victoria's been driven away. Bella goes to confront Jacob and is like, why are you acting like this? She just kind of bursts through the door and like walks past Billy, Jacob's dad, and is like, I don't care, I'm coming in, I need to see him, he's asleep. She goes out into the garden because she can see, or like a random field, and speaks to Sam's kind of clan, and they're none of them are werewolves at this point. And then she starts kind of basically just razzing them up and be like, "What the fuck have you done to him?" And they're all like, "What have I done to him? I'm helping him, I'm saving him." And then she razzing them up so much that one of them turns into a werewolf in front of her, and then Jacob defends her, and that's how she figures out the werewolves are.
Yeah, because by this point, this is where Jacob has had his makeover. He's had his haircut, and now he's got his shirt off, and he's not spoken to Bella in ages. Yeah. So she's just like,
why are you being like this?
Why are you being like this? And then we have then she goads a werewolf. It's that easy to apparently turn someone into a werewolf against their will. Like, how have they survived? How have they kept themselves secret?
From Bella's perspective, Jacob is the lamest man alive, because for her, she rejected his advances in the cinema, and he immediately was like, well, I'm going to be like Edward then. I'm going to be surly raging guy and get in people's faces, and then I'm going to ghost you for ages and be really weird.
That's literally what he does.
She must have been like, man, are you just trying to be like Edward? Like, is he just trying to be like Edward to impress me? But also, this is the problem I have with the werewolf stuff the whole way throughout the film, is that they just seem to let it excuse violence against women repeatedly.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're like, oh, don't make him mad, Bella. He'll kill you. because that's just okay.
Yeah, and then later on, don't they say, "Oh yeah, this is Sam's wife, and she's got a big scar on her face," and he's like, "Oh yeah, she made Sam mad once, and he couldn't control the beast, and he battered her."
It was
It's
Sam.
like, Jesus Christ, battered her with claws.
Sam
It's like,
got too
Jesus.
angry and she got too close, and they're like, "Tough life being a werewolf." Like, what? In what other circle ever would that be excusable?
Oh God.
Yeah, you are right though. It's
implications.
just too easy to razz up a werewolf into battering you. Like,
Yeah, right. No, how have they? No wonder they don't go to school. Hey, you can't handle it. Hey, Jacob, we've seen you how you handle a teasing for two wee boys.
like,
you
Jacob
can't go back
comes-
to school, man, because you'll fucking kill the fuck.
Jacob comes in and Mike's taking his, like, I know they don't go to the same school, but Mike's taking his seat
yeah,
in
they don't.
geography, and he's like, mate, I always sit here. Like, that's where I sit. And he's like, well, today I'm sitting here, and then he just gets
Tears the classroom
fucking
up.
battered.
I just ripped the classroom apart.
It
14
can't be
dead
that
and
easy, man.
14 dead as the wolves/bears attack the school, and you're like, shit.
Some wee loser gets shoved in a locker and just becomes a fucking massive werewolf. Like, explodes, shrapnel everywhere.
No, even funnier.
15 dead.
Even better, it doesn't explode. He's just cramped in there, just freaking out. And everyone's just like, right, bring the exterminator. We've got a fucking stray wolf in the building. Shot.
So
Anyway,
I'm so sorry for this, but I was watching this and I've wrote Abby meets the werewolves instead of Bella. So apologies for that. Must have been something about Bella.
I thought you were like making a snide comment though. You just actually Freudian slipped me into this narrative. Thank you very much for that.
I'm so sorry. So, they all meet. She knows that werewolves exist now, and they're just having really weird kind of meta cryptic chat where they're like, life's kind of fucking weird, isn't it? Like werewolves, vampires, like, and she's like, yep, that's my life, I guess. And, you know,
yep.
used to beasts being around. It's like,
literally just
Okay.
Shocking Boyfriends, the movie saga.
yep.
That's what this series is.
It is actually. I don't know if we're at that point yet though. It's my last note.
It's so lame as well because she goes like she speaks to Sam's wife and or Sam's wife goes like, oh, you're the vampire girl, and she's like, yeah, you're the werewolf girl, and she's like, I guess. So cringe.
Oh,
so
no,
unbelievable.
it's so
Oh yeah,
horrific.
we've both been abused by supernatural creatures. High
Join the
five.
club. Join the club, girly.
Shut up.
Nah, this is like also because I was just like, as much as I have a distaste for Jacob, I was like, oh, as a wee sin though, because he comes up to see her in her room and he's like this, like pew, 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 jumping off the tree and the wall and the
Oh
tree
my
and the wall, and
God.
I'm like, do you know what? Actually, for any other teenage girl that hadn't just dated a vampire that can move as fast as
That
he
would
can
be
move,
incredible.
that would be so impressive. And he's like, and she's kind of like, oh, you know, here yet.
Any just to that?
Any just in that.
Fucking aye. I've written here Jacob's hilarious video game acrobatics, and that's your notes done,
That's
Abigail.
it. This is where I
Since
lost
then,
consciousness.
Abby fell asleep. So for the rest of this, Abby, I'd like you to shut the fuck up and be quiet. I'm joking. Don't.
Just to compare to what we've seen, I know we've moved on slightly, but I've quoted this. I can't remember which one of you said this, but I wrote, Edward can't shag her because he'll eat her, and Jacob can't shag her because he'll batter her.
That was me. That was definitely me.
Even as you said that, I was like, that's clearly Swanny.
Aye. That's who wrote this? Oh yeah.
Yeah, then Bella decides to do one last ditch attempt at seeing Edward again. She goes cliff diving, just like Jacob's clan was doing.
Cliff diving. Do you mean suicide attempt?
Aye, I know. It's a bit shocking, isn't it? It's a bit mental.
Aye.
She just jumps off this cliff into water with nobody else. Nobody knows she's doing it or anything like that. She obviously hallucinates Edward in the water. He's like, this is fucking
He's like,
stupid.
you dumb bitch. What are you drowning? What are you drowning for? Stupid. Get out.
And then
Shocking.
she sees Victoria in the water swimming towards her. And then she gets pulled out by Jacob, and he's like, you are unreal.
You need to stop.
You're a wee toxic nightmare. I love you so much.
I love you, my wee
And then-
my wee toxic dream. That
toxic
can't
dream
think
girl.
of it. Toxic dream. Something.
In response to this, we get back to the house, and Bella and Jacob are having a moment, and she's just kind of like, they kiss in the car, or do they almost kiss?
I don't know why you're asking me.
Oh yeah, you were.
Yeah, you're not a fan of the films.
I think they
You don't
at
watch them
least-
over
I
and
think they
over?
At least like touch lips, but I might be wrong. They have a very intimate moment in the car,
Yeah.
and then she notices that Alice's car is outside of her house. She's like, "What is going on?" So she goes inside, and so does Jacob, and Alice is there, and she's like, "I can't believe that you're alive. What the fuck?" And she's like, why? She's like, I saw you kill yourself in one of my visions, man. What the fuck?
Also, you wrote me so many letters about it.
Yeah,
You told me you were going to do it.
Hey, I became
got
your,
your last email.
yeah, I became your suicide journal, and then you committed suicide, which I saw. So, yeah, I thought you committed suicide. You stupid. Oh, calm me down.
And then Jacob almost batters Alice as well, by the way. More of just woman battering because Alice.
yeah.
It's just Alice says that he smells like a wet dog, which he probably does because he's been in the sea and he's a werewolf. So it's not even an insult.
And he doesn't wear clothes, and he walks about in the rain. Aye, he's gonna fucking stink like a dog. And he's like, I'm gonna fucking fuck you up. And it's like, can we go to therapy, guys? Can everyone just go to therapy in this film? Fuck's sake.
It's fine because I'm a werewolf.
It's not.
Is it?
It's not.
So,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Don't get me upset or I'll start swinging, said Jacob to Alice. That's what I wrote down.
it's not
love
far
it.
off.
It's
what
not
he
far
actually
off.
says.
Stephanie Meyer saw the complaints. This is unhealthy, promotes emotional abuse, and that's toxic. And she thought,
We need physical abuse.
let's just up the ante.
Fuck's sake.
Totally doubled down. So, they're in the house.
At the Swan
Alice
residence.
is like, yes, at the
which
Swan
I
residence.
quite liked. Swan residence.
Alice is like, I'm relieved you're alive, but
As a
like
swan.
that's so stupid. And then she's in the kitchen with Jacob, and then again they're having this intimate moment where they're just about to kiss against the sink, and then the phone goes, and for some reason, don't know why, Jacob picks it up, and he goes, Swan residence, and then
Oh, that's why I wrote it.
somebody else says something on the phone, and then he goes, no, he's planning a funeral actually, talking about Charlie planning a funeral for Harry Clearwater. Now we cut to Edward, who's in like Dracula's fucking palace.
Which I wish we were in for the whole series.
It looks like the Beast's room out of Beauty and
Yes.
the Beast, so like pure
So-
rip curtains.
And that's the first little hint that I'm going to start to love this film
He
again.
was in a beach shack.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Back to sleep, Abby.
He's not in a beach shack.
I've always seen him in like a beach shack. in
No,
this
he's
scene.
like, he's not in a.
Bella, you see him everywhere. sit down.
a Bella.
You're walking down Air
fucking
Beach
bellowed
and
that one.
You saw Edward in a beach shack.
Right.
Let's unpack
he's,
that, Abby.
he's in like a.
Can we unpack that?
Is it what the fuck are you
beach shack?
talking about?
This is not my intervention, guys. Come on.
I feel like every
feel
Twilight
so
episode,
buoyed.
no, you've been bellowed. Every Twilight episode is a fucking like re-therapy session for
I
you.
used to want to be like Bella Swan so much when I was younger.
As you said 40 times. Thank you, Abby. We didn't catch that one.
But now it feels like such an insult.
Aye.
And now you're just Jessica.
Wow.
You are Jessica.
Who needs enemies when you get pals like this?
On the Sorry I Don't podcast.
So
Sorry I don't with you.
he's in a kind of gothic room with like ripped curtains and
Brilliant.
everything's destroyed and
Amazing.
stuff like that.
Class.
Literally looks like the Beast room in Beauty and the Beast, not a beach shack. And
Not a
you see Edward shut the phone over and basically just crush it in his hand. You realise Jacob was speaking to him. He's heard Charlie is planning a funeral. He's heard from Rosalie that Bella killed herself.
No,
so
from Alice.
no, from Rosalie, but Alice purposely doesn't tell him because he knows that he's going to go mental.
Fair,
But
fair.
Rosalie's just a wee bit of me, and she's like, by the way, I think Bella killed herself. Whoops.
Cringe. Oh, that's your bird.
Mortifying.
Cringe. Woo. It's
So
like, Christ, man.
then Bella's like, who's that? And then Jacob, we fucking toxic cringe nightmare, is like, always getting in the way.
God, he sucks.
And then she's like, "What? Who was that?" And he was like, "Yeah, it was your wee boyfriend. He, I just told him that your dad was planning a funeral." And he's like, "You're a nightmare. Why didn't you let me speak to him? What the fuck?" And then Alice bursts in. And she's like, "Edward's gonna go and kill himself." Very,
Romeo and Juliet. Which again, I really like. So right now, I'm immediately like, oh, a plot point. Oh, a cool scenery. Some nice setting. Oh, steaks.
Beach shack.
Not a beach shack.
I love the beach.
Yeah, I know. This is not about you. Back to bed, Bella. God, we are Charlie Swan and Bella, aren't we? Fucking hell. Right, Rosalie, continue.
So, Alice is like, we need to drive to Italy right now and go and stop Edward from killing himself. Because the way he's going to kill himself is he's going to basically give himself up to the vampire government and ask for euthanasia, essentially.
Yeah, the Volturi.
The Volturi. So,
Honestly, man, he should have just gone to the werewolves. He's like, I'm going to try and provoke the Volturi into killing me. Man, just go and vaguely insult Jacob's outfit and he'll kill you.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Go step on Sam's baby toe and he'll tear your head off.
Fucking tickle fight with Jacob and he'll fucking rip your balls off and smash your skull in.
So they manage it somehow overnight, I guess. I don't know how long it takes them, but Alice and Bella drive to Italy, no traffic, I suppose, and show up.
They're literally on the opposite side of the world, like near enough, because they're here. That's like here.
They fully just got a plane.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, but
They never
God
show that.
forbid being Alice on that journey. Can you imagine being on a long haul flight with Bella, thinking that Edward is moments away from killing himself?
And then Bella's like, "Hey, did you get my emails?" And she's just like, "How long's this fucking flight?"
She's watching the wee plane
Yeah.
move slowly across, and she can't even sleep. She can't even go to sleep. She's literally sat there the whole time, just fully awake, with Bella freaking out for hours on end, and then also giving her no chat. Like, maybe Alice is like, "Hey, pal, like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't reply to you. I thought it was for the best, but let's talk about this." And Bella's like, "No,
We're not actually friends.
oh man."
She sucks.
So they show up in I think, what's it called? It's called like Voltura or something like that. That's what it's called.
Made up Italian city.
Yeah. And there's this festival going on. We've seen it at the beginning with the people in the red robes.
Again, I was like, visually arresting, very cool.
And
Here we are.
Alice is like, I can't go because Edward's going to be able to read my thoughts. He's going to know I'm here. He's going to think I'm going to stop something. You've got to go alone because he can't read your thoughts because you don't have any. So she runs.
A little bit convoluted, but fine, I'll go with it.
She just runs through the crowd.
Cool
Really
sequence.
sexy. Really sexy.
Oh, it's hot.
Like,
I don't think it's hot. You guys said this, and I was like,
are you
is
taking
it?
the piss? It's fucking Kristen Stewart. Are you an idiot?
You know
In
when she's
forest
running.
green.
It's not hot when she runs.
Really complimentary.
She's like,
colour.
she's got like her shirt open. She's like, she
I
looks
didn't.
hot. She's running
I
through
think
water.
she's really hot. I didn't think that was hot. I thought that was a bit fucking bobic, to be honest with you. I was like, fucking wear something nice for him. Come on. Nah, I'm joking. Oh, you're trying to save your boyfriend? She gets shot with this.
He walks into the sunlight, sees what she's wearing, and goes,
Aye, fuck it.
"Keep going as well."
Why'd you stink like a Doug? Damp Doug. No.
she
That's a
runs
reference
through
to the werewolves. She's not. I'm not calling Bella a dog.
So she runs through the crowd. She knows that
Clarification.
it's going to be at 12 o'clock that he's going to do it because obviously dramatic effect. He can't choose 11:57.
Yeah.
And Edward's at the front of the kind of Volturi's lair, and he goes to step out into the sunlight, and he does. But at the last second, Bella runs into his arms. He thinks he's going into heaven, but he's not. I don't know why he thinks he's going into.
It's hot, but
It is hot. And she's like, go back inside, and then they have a really sexy kiss. They're all pure like,
Yeah, that's cool.
"Oh."
yeah.
All great.
So hot, and he's shirtless, and it's what I've been waiting for the entire film.
Can't believe I slept through it, man. It's my favourite bit. I did. Last night I was like, don't have time to watch the whole film. I'll just watch that bit on YouTube.
That is good. Again, this is like for me. This is why I really liked Newman for all these years. I always had it. Is I really like this ending. There's stakes. That's really dramatic. And you're like, oh, she saved them. That's the end of it. And then we get to meet the best characters in the whole franchise, the Volturi, the vampire government.
Yep.
And I'm so upset that they do not capitalize on the promise of these characters more, because I would love it if they went, hey, third one, we're going on holiday to the Volturi's citadel in Transylvania, and it's going to be wild. Would have loved that. And like fucking Jacob's chasing them with werewolves. We're having why wasn't he more villainous? No, we don't get that. But they imply that we could get something really cool and gothic out of this vampire story, and I really like that.
Yeah. So they go in. The Volturi have already denied Edward the pleasure of killing himself. So that's why he was just going to show himself off to the entire human civilization that he was a vampire, so that they would need to kill him because that's against the rules.
Yep.
So he comes back in the building. He's fine, and then they're like, "We want to come and meet your missus anyway," and he's like, "No need. I'm good. So I'll kill myself now." And they're like, "No, You need to come in. So
Yeah, and like, doesn't he? To go back just a little bit, he tries to be like. He starts to explain to her why he had to leave,
yeah,
and then just kind of wimps out and cry kisses her,
yeah.
which is great. That's our resolution for that plotline. Class. Keep going.
So, they go in, they speak to the Volturi. Michael Sheen plays the kind of Arrow, who's the main guy in the Volturi.
He doesn't do that yet, but
I was going to say, I was waiting. How long is it going to take Swanny to come out with that?
I love him. I'd love to play
You
that
did
character.
that in the first episode.
I did that. I will do it every time the Volturi come into my brain. I mean, Arrow comes into my brain.
So
that's a weird phrase.
basically, they all kind of start testing out their vampire powers on Bella. So you've got Jane, who's played by one of the Fannings, and she can just...
No.
I think it's Dakota. She can inflict mental pain on you, basically, from afar without touching you.
Class.
So it works on Edward, doesn't work on Bella. Arrow, he can like touch you and then he can see everything that you've ever thought before. He tries that on Bella, can't see anything because again she has no thoughts. And then they realise,
Just a vacuum.
oh, you're special because our vampire powers don't work on you. That's really interesting. So they just start battering Edward, almost
Great.
kill him. And then she's like, no, don't kill him. Kill me instead. And they're like, wow, that's amazing. That a human would want to sacrifice themselves for a beast. That's class.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we're kind of interested by this whole thing you've got going on where none of our powers work on you. But if you're not going to get turned, then tough. And then Alice is luckily there. And she's like, no. I've seen it before. In the future, she's going to get turned. I'm going to do it myself, actually.
Roll bluff.
So, well, it's not a bluff because Arrow goes and checks
Oh, no, he does.
with his powers because he can see all of her
Roll
thoughts.
diplomacy.
So he can see that.
Did you get them running in the...
Yeah, it's so fucking weird.
So funny.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
vampiric.
It's like
Seen
something
it-
from
every
like
scene in my life.
Spring Awakening. Like it's just like it's so bizarre.
I would have loved it if they went, again, I keep saying this. Do you know these little flashes we get to like history points where they're all dressed up really spookily gothic wise? Imagine that, we saw that and it was them like in a castle drinking a chalice of blood together.
So
That
much
would have been
cooler.
so sexy.
But
Like a
this
painting. A
is-
painting that bleeds.
The
Ooh.
implication is that there is a reality that exists at this point in time that is the future.
Well, that is. We do see her
Yeah.
doing that.
But like,
Why does
Why
Bella
like
turn
that?
into a vampire and then become like an almond mom?
like a sad
about?
beige mum.
Yeah, sad beige mom.
Gotta
Like
get my steps in.
Renesmee's only getting like
Ouch.
Yeah.
wooden building blocks and like a picture of, I don't know, a fucking log on her wall and that is it. Like, why is that their vampire future? Where's the cobwebs? Where's the beach house? Where's the beach shack?
Where
saw earlier,
where is
Edward
the
Agnew.
mise en scene? This is my issue with these films. They're so fucking bleh, modern. We're modern. Modern films of vampires. No, make it cool. Please. Please just take me to a castle. One little castle and somewhere.
So
Meanwhile, we're in the vault in the Vatican.
Well, that's the best part. Well, that's why I love this, because it's a fucking actual set. It's so cool. We've got these creepy, spooky vampire cunts. Like, see that one that's like the right hand who just sits there like this? He's like, oh. Arrow. Love him. What's his deal? What's going on with him? He shows up later on. He gets lamer every time you see him. But the idea that he could be cool is there. The idea that we could have cool characters is very exciting for me at this
also
point
the
of the
implied
film.
narrative that it's, well, not even implied, sorry, that it's written into the story that Carlisle was a part of the Volturi at some point.
Oh, yeah, where's
and then
that?
ducked out because he was like, he's our kind of shite.
I really wish that had been like the hook for number 3. Like, Carlisle has done something horrible, and it's like, what has he done? Oh my God, why has he done that? And it turns out it's not quite that, but he had to make, I don't know, I'd love that. You know, really deep into, get into the, oh my God, Carlisle maybe didn't do this whole thing for a good reason. Maybe he started doing
This
this.
is about Bella's virginity. This is what these films are about. We're just going to have to accept it because they exist.
But like, you could do that too. Like,
Anyway,
Shakespeare does it.
We're all good. The Volturi's fine. They're happy. We all go home. We're safe. We're glad. Edward takes a moment to be like, look, I was like, you were getting physically hurt by all the men in our life. So I decided to kind of remove myself from the equation in the most toxic way possible and traumatize you. Sorry about that. But I just didn't want my brother to batter you and eat you.
To be fair though, I could also see that conversation as going, look, I thought I was doing the best thing by breaking up with you. I didn't realise that was going to actually emotionally and mentally break you.
Yeah, he's like,
to the point of being literally traumatised by getting dumped. Like,
he's literally like, yeah, I didn't realise I didn't realise you loved me that much. Wow. But yeah, no, but then he's also like, you believed it so easily. He's so toxic.
oh man.
Yeah.
I know. He's like, ooh.
He is a wee toxic.
Believe in yourself more, queen.
Believing that, hey, you thought I really didn't love you. You believed it so easily.
So
Shite. McShite.
they've kind of made up. They're all good, and
they go for a drive.
and they're back in the forest again, and then she's like, look. And
wait,
no. Yeah, they go to the house. They go to the Cullen house, and they go to the Cullen house, and then on the way there, Jacob stops the car.
Yeah, so that's
with
what I
his
mean.
body.
They go for a lovely drive, and it's like, oh, everything's back to normal, and then suddenly it's like this zoomed in shot POV of the car as Jacob's standing here like fucking like flexing out like, is she bothering you, queen? And then we have this shite scene. I don't even know what happens in it. I just know
I don't know.
everyone's
I
shite.
genuinely don't care.
Jacob's like, I
Jacob's
like
probably
you.
just like, please.
But my balls are blue. And she's like, yeah, they're going to stay blue, buddy, because...
They have a wee chat where Bella's basically like, if you hurt each other, you'll hurt me. So they're like, they come to a mutual agreement.
That's what it is.
That they're not going to batter each other.
But that's the point. That's when Jacob's like, you do know, plot convenience, if one of you Cullens turns a human into a vampire, truce is off, and we're going to have a punchy shit-fit cry fest fight. And then Edward's like, oh yeah, sure. And Bella's like, it's actually my choice. See you later, man. Good threat. Ooh. Like that feels like that was meant to be set in like in a better written script. That would have been Jacob being set up as the villain for the next one. You know, hey, it's over. This is going to be bad. It'd be like, oh shit. But no, it's actually kind of funny that it's just like, and then they're like, who cares? We love each other.
Oh, is that right? Is that just going to be broken? Aye. Well, tell your dad to come and tell me that. He sent me Jacob out. I'm
Did
scared.
he give you a tenner to tell me that?
Are we going to break the truth? The werewolf truth? Shut up, man. We're vampires. We're going to live forever. We'll just run away from you forever.
Yeah.
Aye. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Really?
Nothing, clearly, because they
Their
don't.
plan, the whole plan as well, is that they're going to have to leave Forks the minute they turn Bella anyway. That's their long term thing. Like they're just going to be like, well, okay, you have fun defending your land that I
Jacob's
don't live on
trying
anymore.
so hard. He's like, but this rule means you need to be with me.
So funny if he showed up with an actual book.
Oh, I honestly feel like I'd love it more if they fully just went in. Section 17, Addendum 14, Section B, shag me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, Jacob. No, man.
Oh, God.
Shag me or scuffles.
So they go and leave Jacob as he is.
Soaking wet on the side of the road, like a stupid wet dog that he is.
Punching his car. Like,
Punching his car and
Screaming.
like rubbing up against a tree and then like crying and howling. Getting too much into this.
so they go to the Cullen household now, Bella and Edward, and basically Bella's like, I need you to have a vote, and you can vote yes or no to me being turned into a vampire and joining your clan. Everybody's into it except for Edward and Rosalie, because Rosalie's got a really fucked up, horrible, traumatic past.
The
and
best part
present.
she's got the best contained plot of the whole series, which you'll see next episode. I'm really looking
100%.
forward to seeing that.
I'd be the same. See if some fucking cringe was like gonna enter my vampire family and all she does is go, I would absolutely be like, no, come on, man.
It's
You're
like-
not fucking subjecting me to
it's
this
like the-
eternal damnation of cringe. That's so unfair.
Agreed.
That's so lame.
It's
What
like
the fuck?
It's like that bit that I made about the angel.
Yeah.
The angel comes to you and goes, hey man, like a really lame guy you knew at uni comes to you and goes, hey man, you've made it. You're going to be an angel. You're going to be an angel. You've done it. What have you done right? Me and you're going to be angels together, man, for forever. And then you're just looking at him and all the flashback of all the cringy shit he's done is there and you just go, with you. That's literally it. It's like, oh, I want to be a vampire forever with you guys. It's great, right? With you?
Poor Rosalie though, man, because honestly she'd be like, look, Alice enough. I already deal with Alice. I'm lumbered with this guy Emmett who has literally about 2 stock phrases that he can like stumble his way through. Carlisle's cool and intelligent. Esme's there.
Daddy Gaslight.
She
though.
clearly fancies Edward.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Rosalie?
Well, maybe not fancies Edward, but she definitely respects him more than anyone else in that
Yes,
family. She definitely sees herself as closer to him than anyone
I guess
else.
that's because he doesn't want to be a vampire like her.
Yeah. But the rest of them are just like, from her point of view, like from her kind of personality, a nightmare. What do her and Alice talk about?
Yeah.
What do any of them talk about? And they're like, oh my god, if we don't talk about anything as it is, if Bella gets involved, all we're going to talk about is Bella being shite.
Carlisle has created his own little fucked up, like, supernatural big brother in that house. Just like a bunch of people that don't fucking get on and
never
have to
go to
hang
sleep.
out
Like,
all
of
the
all the
time.
things to
Never
do if
go
you're a
to sleep.
vampire, you could have a big sexy cult, you could have a big sexy marriage, you could have a big sexy castle, you could have anything sexy, and he goes for the least sexy option. Let's have them all in high school being gimps together. Fuck yeah, that's what I needed to do. Fuck's sake.
So they all vote in favour of Bella becoming part of the family. And, you know, like, it's so irresponsible, especially of Esme and Carlisle, who are meant to be, like, I know they're all old, but they're like the parental figures in the situation. And, like, Carlisle himself has only turned people when they've been in kind of dire situations. So why the fuck is he condoning this shit? Like, really? What are any of them getting out of this
Because
shit?
Edward has literally made it so clear that he's going to kill himself if he can't be with Bella. Which is actually so cringe when you think about it.
Yep.
That they're like, actually, I'm going to have to betray all
see
my
when
morals.
someone actually does threaten that, it's not as cool in real life.
Yeah, it's not. It's toxic.
It's so lame.
It's gaslighting. Is that technically gaslighting?
Yeah,
It is. Well,
manipulative.
It's manipulative, yeah.
So they've all voted in agreement that they're going to turn Bella, and then I think Edward's like just, I don't know, he takes her out in a forest essentially.
Yeah, they go
And she
back.
must be like, oh fuck, not again.
Another yeah.
She starts screaming. she starts
gets
having
triggered.
night terrors in the middle of the day.
She gets triggered every time she goes near a woods and just happens to live in a woods. Great.
And then he's like, this is all fine, whatever, like I'm not happy about it, but like here's my condition. She's like, what? And then he's like, marry me. And then the film ends. And that's how it ends.
It ends with a little gasp, spasmic shite bleh from
So,
her. The last one. Great. Sorry. Go.
So that's how the film concludes. We're at the end of the plot. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm gonna give it a 9. It's not got enough Edward, so it doesn't get 10. But it is Twilight Newman. It gets a 9 because of that.
What do you think, Abby?
I don't need to justify myself.
I'm going to
Clearly.
give it an 8.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I'm kind of in
You
the
going
same-
to justify it?
I would if you would let me.
I was letting you.
Kind of in the similar boat view, the same reason it just gives a peg down for me because I think watching it, especially I literally fell asleep. The middle is a little bit too long, and I really am frustrated by the fact that this could be a really, really great film, despite the fact that it's not plot heavy. If Jacob was,
Better.
yeah, if Jacob was better and Jacob and Bella's chemistry was more compelling.
See, this is the thing. I read all the books, right? So I was kind of convinced by the whole thing. But like from just watching it, I just like because this was obviously where the true like Team Edward, Team Jacob thing birthed, and that was huge, massive at the
Yeah,
time. And I just cannot fathom how anybody could have been Team Jacob at the time, except for the fact that obviously Taylor Lautner's stunning, right? He's beautiful.
I think.
But fuck me, man, he's so cringe.
Yeah.
Also, he never
In this
stood
film.
a chance.
Yeah, okay, we know. Me and Cam, just before we move on, I don't know how Abby slept through this, but me and Cam
yeah, I
had a
remember
very,
that.
very lengthy fucking argument.
You won that argument.
on
How's he still Team Jacob? I listened
I
to
did
it.
win that argument.
Yeah, you did.
Right? And he was on the side of fucking Daddy Gaslight. Junior Gaslight.
Jimmy Gaslight.
Jimmy Gaslight.
Jimmy Gas Stove.
Basically, Cam's opinion was that we should, like, Jacob saying to Edward on the phone, oh, hey, yeah, it's absolutely fine that sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Cam's opinion was that Jacob saying to Edward on the phone, yeah, Charlie's planning a funeral was an okay thing to say because Bella had been leading him on and Edward's getting in the way. He was on that side of it.
Yeah, I think he did
Red
eventually.
flag, babe.
I think he did. If I remember rightly, he did concede
Sorry.
that
I think he
Jacob was being
conceded-
shite there, but he thinks overall Jacob's actually all right. And I think the thing
Well,
with
I'm
Jacob,
gonna batter you if you're a woman, Jacob.
Did we discuss the point where he forces a kiss on Bella?
that's not yet. That's the next one.
Oh, is that the next one?
That is the next one.
So that's when it gets worse. Like I can see how people could, on a first time viewing, not
Wait until he
dissecting it.
becomes a paedophile.
Yeah. I think they could. I think you could make an argument. I wouldn't agree with the argument, but with this film, you could make an argument of being more Team Jacob because of he takes a lot of flack. He jumps in there when clearly Bella's shite toxic boyfriend Edward breaks up with her in the worst way, and she's like, you can make an argument for it. I don't agree with that argument, but I can see it. But see, Cammy, see as soon as you see Eclipse, and then we get to Breaking Dawn, like. I'm going to make you eat those words.
So
What do you give it?
yeah,
So the first one's got a better plot, but it doesn't have as big, for me, it doesn't have the same kind of heights. Like it doesn't have the Volturi, it doesn't have anywhere near as cool a sequence as all that stuff at the end. It's not shot as well at those points, and it's still ridiculous. So the first one's more consistent and more of a package film. But I think this one has lower points, but higher ending, and I do, in spite of myself, still really like it. So I'm probably going to give it a 6 as well as the first one.
that's
Give them both 6s because I was like, it's going to be a 5. I'm like, it's not a 5 because that implies that it's not a 5. It's a 6.
interesting.
In
Do
my
you think this is the
opinion.
best ending out of all the films? The first one's got a really good ending as well, but
First one's got good.
Yeah, I don't like Victoria though, so the first ending always annoys the fuck out of me.
Victoria's barely in the first.
Yeah,
ending,
she walks
James.
about. She walks
Oh,
about. And
well,
that
I think of the ending of the first film as being like the final, the big boss fight.
All right, yeah,
more
okay.
than
Not the denouement, the
Yeah.
epilogue. I get what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. I think this one's better. I think I like this more. I just Volturi. Just if you can set something in the Vatican and make it spooky and even, I love how well constructed. I like an actual set when something's in a lovely, beautiful set. It's great. Interesting, weird characters with implied narratives.
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen nailing it. Fucking class.
By the way, this reminded me that when I was watching it, I was like, can you believe they got Michael Sheen for this? Unbelievable. And then Cam's sitting there like, really, is that him? He looks so different. What if they like his makeup or something like that? And then we eventually realised he was talking about Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen playing
Very
Arrow.
different casting.
That'd have been very funny though.
I think that says a lot about how I rank actors. And I'm like, oh my god, they got fucking whatever his name is, Sheenan, and I'm like, Charlie Sheen. Wow.
So yeah, 6,
6,
9, 8.
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
That's a pretty
think that's
high beginning.
Look, it does. The thing is, even though I went through it and watched it and it really annoyed the fuck out of me, it does sit really well in the mind as like this kind of moody, like it's an unexpected sequel in some ways because you do not expect Edward to disappear. And look, get over all the stuff. Oh, Edward, sparkly, cringy vampire, whatever they are. But in terms of just a plot structure, that's quite interesting to do. Do they nail the mood piece vibe of it all? No, they don't quite. Jacob's insufferable, or gets worse and worse. But that ending's class. I love that. Unironically.
I think, do you know what I think as well, just like a final thought, I think from Newman onwards, the films lack something that I found quite important with the first one. And it is that when they do the colour grading,
Oh, it's
is that what
shocking.
it's called?
Yeah.
It's all so warm-toned. They're vampires. They're dead. Why have they colour graded it so they all look like boiling all the time? And
They do, they're
They
sweating.
literally made the whole colour palette, like the colour of their kind of like
their eyes.
tawny coloured eyes.
But it looked so much better when they were cutting about with these like black
Yeah.
eyes. It looked a lot more kind of like,
vampire.
I don't know. The
Yeah.
third one kind of does this blue filter over everything, and I fucking hate Eclipse. That is the worst.
I'm an Eclipse
film.
apologist.
Yeah, but
I
you like
enjoy
Victoria.
Eclipse.
You like,
But
and
no,
I
it's
don't
not
mean that
even
in a
like
bad-
Victoria. I have this thing that really frustrates me when you're watching a film that's got supernatural elements in it and there's so many like tragedies and misunderstandings just because not everyone knows that this is like, oh, he's mean to me, he hates me, oh, it's because he's a vampire, he can't come to class because it's sunny. Oh, why does he stop talking to me? He's turning into a werewolf. There's something about that actually really frustrates me to the point where it makes it more difficult for me to enjoy a film. And I'm like, Eclipse, all the main characters know what they need to know. Cards are on the table. We're not labouring under any
'cause you
ridiculous illusions. It just really
Yeah,
gets on my nerves.
You don't like that as a plot thing where people,
It's not
where
I don't like
the
it.
audience knows something but the characters don't, and we just
Yeah.
hold it back and hold the plot from. Yeah, I get you.
It's present in everything because it has to be, because otherwise a film would be boring. But there's something nice about Eclipse where I'm like, we're on the open road. Let's just let this play out.
Yeah, we are on
don't
the
have to
open
faff
road,
about-
and then we fucking sit in a tent, and that is
We sat on a tent in a mountain.
the and then that ending, that fucking.
Anyway,
we'll
we're
get to
out
that.
of
We'll get
art
to
in
that.
it.
Next season
So-
premiere.
So we have our rogues gallery. Jasper's got to be the rogues
Yeah,
gallery
Jasper or
this time.
Sam?
Ooh,
I think that Sam's roguish and a kind of like
Yeah,
actually.
like too much
to
of
be
an
fair, they
action movie.
dispel Sam's roguishness pretty
A
quickly.
little bit, but then you've got the.
Yeah, okay, fair.
You've got the beating of the wife part, which isn't great.
Oh, that's
No.
not great.
I think it
Whatever.
has to go to Daddy Jaslight then.
Daddy Jaslight. Is that what you're calling him now? Daddy Jaslight. That's pretty good. Yeah, Jasper. Because I just, that is such a profound way of looking at that.
Also,
that he's
just-
actually just making
Just
Alice
the
how he
incredible,
wants her to be.
the implied narrative that he is,
Oh,
just specifically that he looks so intense all the time because he's focusing so hard on making Alice not hate her.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
That's an implied
Amazing.
narrative that's got a little bit of a, oh, is it? Maybe it's not, it's a mystery. Whereas the implied narrative with Sam is that he grooms kids and batters his wife, and that all happens.
I think that we should come up with a different name for him though, because I feel like us having Daddy in 2 episode titles
yeah.
is a bit obscene.
We'll work it out.
You wanting to do a review?
Critics said it was fine. And I agree. 'Cause you remember we had one idea that we wanted to do with the new episodes where we come up with a different idea or alternative ending. Do we want to do that? I've got a kind of funny one.
If it's funny,
Is
I
it
don't know
gonna
if
take
it's funny.
can we keep this in? Can we keep this in, please?
Right. We were just talking this idea that maybe what would be an alternative ending that would maybe make it better. I think Jacob should have followed them, and it should have been Jacob that basically defeats someone in the Volturi or something like that, and it causes some sort of, oh my god, Jacob's broken the pact and broken everything, and now Jacob's kind of on their side.
Ooh,
I don't know how you'd work it, but like this idea that Jacob saves Bella from the Volturi because Edward can't because he's been tortured by one of them, and then Jacob does that, and then I think that would have been more interesting.
What I just love about this though, and I thought about when you were talking about your field trip idea for Eclipse instead of having it been in Forks. I just again imagine a long haul flight full of wolves and they get into a wee argument and the plane just like it's full of wolves.
Yeah, imagine they were getting chased by the Volturi in the third one, and then they resolve it, and then we have Breaking Dawn.
International
Boys
travel
on a plane.
with supernatural humans
Love
is
that.
amazing.
Yeah,
Love
that'd been
that.
funny.
So,
The wolf stuck in economy class just fucking barking at each other. He fucking elbows at me, but everyone's like, can these guys fucking leave the plane, please? The vampires are in the fucking storage in their coffins. That'd be a laugh.
In the hold.
In the hole, that's the word for it, not the storage. But yes,
right, so thank you for listening to and or watching the Sorry I Don't podcast, episode 1, season 2. We will be coming back next week with
Dirty dancing.
are we doing Dirty Dancing next week?
Please.
What's my options?
We're
Or
not,
Mamma Mia.
we're not having this right now.
Oh my
We will
God.
come back with something.
When do I get a film? We'll work it out.
Right.
Thank you so much, folks.
Can you do that again?
No, I think it's pretty good.
Please do dirty dancing.
Oh my god, why are you being him?
We're all collapsing.
Thank you so much for listening to and or watching the Sorry I Don't podcast, episode 1 of season 2. So excited to be back.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the first episode, and we will see you next week with another summery themed film. So see you then. Bye.
It'll be my choice, not Abby's.
I love it. This is not really a summary themed film.
Bye.